Hello and welcome to 0 Point Energy. It's 0 point what we talk about with just as much energy. I'm Sean.
This is Jorge.
And today we're joined by our wonderful friends,
Katya?
Christina.
and we are talking about I want to say 2018 movie, Ride Your
2019.
Wave. I honestly forgot when it came out. Relatively new though.
But does that mean, wait, I have a question. Doesn't that mean we have a point then?
Going up.
You
said
know what now?
0 point, but this is much energy, but now we have a point.
There's no point, but we never stay on topic. So there's no point.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so, like you said, Ride Your Wave came out in 2019.
2019. Okay.
And it's actually a pretty good movie. I like it. But honestly, I got a couple of weird vibes from it. Not creepy vibes, just the animation reminded me of, I don't know if anybody watched it, but Digimon the movie back in like 2000,
Yeah.
2003, around there? Anybody?
Nope.
God damn it.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm not an anime person, so this is like me.
Which movie did you say?
Digimon the movie? Like the...
A little bit. I think Masaki Yuasa had something to do with one of the Digimon Tri movies. I don't think he did Digimon.
It seems more like Noeen to me, like with the style
He did
of...
Devilman Crybaby.
Yeah.
And Adventure Time. No wonder why I didn't like the animation.
Oh. So you guys know, this is only the third full-length anime movie I've ever seen.
Wait, you're a complete noob?
Yeah. Basically.
I've seen a couple of series, cartoon series, or anime series, because of Christina, but the first full-length anime movie I ever saw was Howl's Castle
Well, it's a good place to start. I mean, it's a good movie.
and Spirited Away.
Yeah. Any
If
of the
you can even
Miyazaki
call that
shows.
anime because it was more Americanized, but that's
Well,
the
all the Miyazaki
Extent.
films are great starting points.
Mostly.
Oh.
No. I mean, Ghibli, yes, but
Oh.
the other stuff, mostly.
Ghibli in general.
Ghibli,
Technically,
yes.
this is Ghibli. G-Kids is a subsidiary.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and so far my only other experiences were there's been a fourth movie.
Christina?
What
Yeah.
was that? On Ice. Yuri on Ice.
Yuri on Ice,
Very
yeah.
nice.
Good series.
And then the series that I saw,
Food Wars.
Food Wars.
I love Food Wars.
Both are good. Food Wars, I got bored with after the first season. It's
How?
something. I don't see how that show carried more than one season. It's
Because
just
of foodies.
porn.
Foodies.
Yeah.
And we love our food porn.
Like, when you see it,
I can't believe I
That's-
just said that out loud.
that's how you feel inside.
Okay,
No.
You've never had food that's so good that you just, blitz out?
Sometimes. It has a few things.
But see,
The,
isn't that kind of some of the point
okay.
of anime? Is
The golf balls and Murray Brothers.
yes. Oh, God.
But isn't that kind of some of the point of anime is it's not supposed to make sense?
Yeah.
But parts
Like
of, yeah.
I mean, some of it's not supposed to make sense. Sometimes it's supposed to
The
make
main
sense.
character in this movie can't lift a 5-pound potted plant, but they can drag around a 7-foot tall finless dolphin filled with water that weighs 1,000 pounds all over the city
Yeah.
yeah.
That's,
With one hand?
with one hand. Yeah.
Not just that. The porpoise that's filled with water that is just inanimate can walk. Literally, it was flipping? What did we call it? Flipping around?
Yeah.
It was waddling with its flippers.
Mm-hmm.
It was flipper hopping.
There we go. Yeah.
Flip hopping. Flip flopping.
No.
Flippity flop flop.
I think it's called suspension of disbelief.
It's suspension of something. I mean, the water's standing up in it. No. But I mean... Oh shit, where was I? God damn it, I lost my point.
Isn't that the point of the show?
That's the huh?
Yeah.
I did not catch that. What the hell did you say?
I said, isn't that the point of the show?
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, there's no point. What do you mean? Stop talking about points. Okay, a porpoise is round. It has no angles, no sharp points, nothing.
Dolphins have points. That's your bottlenecks.
No, it's a bottle. It's angled.
You've never stay out of a bottle then.
A broken one, yes.
That's the point.
Somehow the show's becoming about the purpose of the porpoise.
Yes. Okay, now.
It's a purposeful fork.
Sorry. I'm derailing your show.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
a,
shut up now.
Did you drink before you get dumped? No. One thing I really found a little weird about the movie, besides the porpoise, was that the animation did remind me of what's it called? Of early animation, 2003 Digimon, first movie, or Digimon the movie, whatever it's called. And the animation had that same kind of fluidity. I didn't like the animation so much, but it gave me a reminder of that.
I can see that.
the animation just seemed
Too American.
dated a little.
It felt dated
Yeah.
and too American.
How American?
Well,
Oh
Is
my
it-
goodness.
the director of this did multiple episodes of Adventure Time.
True.
So
Okay, yes.
very Americanized.
Yeah.
I mean, the main character looks as American Caucasian as can be, with blonde hair, brown eyes, big round eyes. And I know that's kind of like the thing, but she had these super thin, long legs, and
That's
actually, normal sized breasts rather than being over accentuated or nothing.
Yeah,
It just was very Americanized, down to even the hairstyle.
I disagree. I mean, I've seen this same kind of character in actually shoujo manga and animation. Specifically, I'm thinking of Nana, which is, again, came out in the early 2000s, a manga from then, where they have fashion from the day, Japanese fashion, obviously, and similar hairstyles, actually. Like
Yeah,
the same
but-
type of body style. Yeah.
For me, that's very Americanized. And I know that's kind of,
yeah.
from what I've seen on things and heard from people, that's become, but is that just fan service for the Americans that are now eating this stuff up compared to...
No, they don't create. Typically in Japan, if something does well in other countries, it's like a bonus. They make it for Japanese people.
Yeah. Some things are made specifically for America, and then when they don't do well, they're shocked, and then they just cancel all projects. A great example of that is Angel Sanctuary,
Yeah.
which is a great manga series. It's a pretty good OVA that was made, but it tanked in America when it came out at the end of the 90s, because anime wasn't just getting big in America then. It wasn't quite mainstream yet. So not as many people were interested in a show about angels, demons, and incest.
I get that. I mean, I'm grateful for learning this knowledge, but like you said earlier, I'm a noob. I don't know, but this is my impression of what I'm seeing in 2001, just getting into anime for the first time, really.
Wait, what
In
do you
the
mean
last year.
2001?
Or 2021.
I was going to say.
Sorry. 2021. I know I've seen other movies in the past, but again, it's been very, very limited.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Like anime for me was never really that big thing that I got into. So,
But I can see the feeling of this being an early 2000s anime, like 2001, between 2001 and 2004, especially like watching your comparison to Nana. The main Nana, there's the two Nanas in the anime. The main one is a very westernized, Americanized girl. So the main character here, to compare them, is kind of what Kate saying. This looks more like they're trying to draw Americanized characters versus Japanese characters. Almost like they wanted this to do better in the West than they wanted to in Japan.
yeah.
Okay, I can see that, but
It's like this is like almost like introductory anime for Americans, so they can ease in. It's like baby steps. It's very. It's like D&D 4th edition for newbies 10 years ago.
That's a great analogy. It's simplistic enough that if it's your first, or one of your first, you get it, you understand, and you'll probably fall in love with it. but for like you and me,
Dinosaurs.
we've been watching this stuff for most of our lives. I've been watching anime since the early 90s, late 80s. So almost my entire life I've been watching anime. So yeah, this is just a movie to me. It's not new. It's not interesting. Well, it's interesting, but it's not. It doesn't look great.
I feel almost insulted from seeing the things that I have seen being new. That I feel almost insulted by the blonde hair, brown eye, white girl on a surfboard. That's the star of this animation.
She is Japanese, though.
She is Japanese.
Well, but if you were to take out the knowledge of like the Japanese cities and the names and swap it out with American names, and some city in California, you would never know the difference.
Yeah, if you set this in,
You would never know the difference.
Well, if you said it anywhere in Hawaii, it would not be out of place to be like Hawaii.
There are certain things, though, that are very Japanese.
Well,
Like the Omnirice and the cassette player. That cracked me up. That's very Japanese.
I have one of those cassettes.
You're adorable.
I had one of
I'm
those.
almost 40.
Yeah, but like to say it's like now using it is what I'm
I
saying.
have one of those cassette players.
I have a serious question. Okay, would you
My truck is
consider
30
this more
years
Japanese?
old.
Just take a look at a picture.
Okay, hold on.
Give me one moment.
But you know what I mean? Because they like more.
Yeah, no, I
Like
get it.
this style
And-
of animation.
Yeah.
This is a very stylized anime called Katana Gatari. Sean hates it. I actually liked it. I went back to watch it. It actually picks up. And
Oh, it's fucking annoying.
Well, you said very stylized.
no, it is very stylized.
And-
I'm asking your opinion. I'm not telling you. I'm asking. So, would this be more what you imagined, or like
No.
what you experienced, or
No. For example, what is the main character from the girl's name from Howling Castle?
How was this?
Pull up a picture of her.
Oh, God. Can't even remember her name until I love that movie.
Oh, I kept saying Howling Castle. You're right, Moving Castle.
Yeah, how?
See, that's how I'm.
You got this.
I was hoping we can see the characters.
You're not.
You scroll too fucking fast.
Hey,
No, I don't.
Okay,
Keep up. Your
Jorge.
eyes are old.
go
Sophie.
back to your search on Google.
Sophie is the
Go
character.
to
images.
images.
Here we go. Sophie.
Okay, now look. I know that she's blonde
Actually, her hair's white in this
or
one.
white, but and while her eyes are bigger, it still has an American feel to it. But then there's aspects of it where it's very obviously Japanese animation, but it's still these American features of their faces.
Yes. I mean, it's the big eyes, the softer features. It's
What is the one anime that has the black spirit character? With the white face.
No face.
Right.
Yeah.
What about those characters? Because some of
Like,
them
those characters look a lot more like Japanese children.
right, and that's the thing. It's like why?
Okay, why are you referring to Japanese children as little demons?
No.
Because that's what this is. He's a demon.
Well, kind of aren't
no.
all children demons? I mean,
Okay,
Well,
that's
that-
here nor no.
I get what Katya is talking about there, and that's a very Miyazaki thing. Miyazaki makes his films to appeal to the world. He really doesn't care if Japan likes them. He wants everyone to like them. So
So
his
he's
character design
so it is a little bit of fan service then,
yeah, his
because he's
character design-
trying to appeal to the biggest.
no, sweetie, don't use
Population.
fan service in that way.
Yeah.
I love you to death, but do not use fan
Okay.
service. It's the nice jiggly boobs in your face.
Okay. Then I'm
And
gonna use
stuff
this
like
then
that.
I'm gonna use
The
this
panty
way.
shots.
To me, then that's a sellout.
Fan appeal.
Fan appeal or fan
yeah.
appeal or sellout.
That's better. Don't say fan service because that has a specific.
I think this is like one of the reasons
Yeah.
why I have never gotten into anime is because everything feels like it's the Japanese version of what Americans are supposed to be,
Yes.
or what they are, and it almost seems caricaturist and things like that. And then they add their own culture to say, "Hey, Americans, this is how you're supposed to act."
You do get that sometimes. I'd say in the sense of Miyazaki films, his ideal of making everything for a world audience also drifts to not so much making his characters Americanized, but European. He uses a lot of European features, but he also his settings, a lot of them look very European, and he gets really inspired by European architecture and all of that, especially French and German, the countrysides. So I see why he draws characters like this. Character is from an area that looks like this. The character should look like what?
That's probably not loud enough. But why are they all Caucasian?
They're not.
though. That's
Sweetie,
the point. Okay,
they
look.
code, different hair colors code different characteristics and personalities.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
Like, Sailor
all
Moon looks like a blonde, blue-eyed. She's Japanese.
Hold on, I think I know. Hold on,
I
I
get
think
that.
I know what she's getting at. Give me one moment.
It's the actual skin tone where people can sit there and
Yeah,
say,
that's
this is, like, if it's meant to be for the world, then why not make the skin tones more diverse? Why does it have to be this symbolic thing in the hair? And I guess that's part of the whole culture of anime. But if we're attacking all these things in media and movies and things about that, about cultural appropriation or things like this,
Is this what you're picturing at the top right?
so what now?
It's a joke. It's a joke. This is a Bugs Bunny cartoon because nobody can see it, obviously. From the 1940s to, I want to say, 50s. That was made by Warner Brothers with Bugs Bunny.
No,
I'm joking.
I
I'm joking.
don't want
I'm
that.
joking.
I get what you're saying, and yes, those were all the offensive, or we all enjoyed it, but they were very racist things back in the 50s and 60s. I'm not talking, because we're in media today, we're constantly talking about if it's a black person, it should be played by a black person. If it's a white person, it should be played by a white person. If it's someone who's gay, it should be played. So why is it in anime? And again, if it's the culture, but then, and it's the symbolic thing, isn't it time for them to actually start including people who are brown skinned, black skinned, and bringing in part of their cultures? Because that's one of the things I understand about Japan is they appreciate all cultures and all people coming in and enjoying their culture as well. But why is it all white skin?
I want to say...
And this is coming from someone who's white. Why is it all white skin?
I want to say it stems from anime getting a lot bigger in post-World War II, especially 60s, 70s. So they were trying to show that a world, their culture. So they were trying to make everything appeal. So, like, you saw that shift in all their comic books, the shifts in anime, and movies and everything, where...
I mean, listen, I love this one. I love this. This is perfect.
Yeah, Speed Racer.
Speed Racer.
Which is a great example of the 60s and then
but
changing skin tones to look more Caucasian.
Caucasian, because you could see in the early ones, he actually does look more Asian.
Yeah.
His eye slant is more Asian, and all that, and the eye shape is more the almond shape that you see in so many Asian people. And then all of a sudden, he's big, blue-eyed, as you can see, person that's American. I mean, that's my point. They were actually heading in that direction of inclusivity, and then all of a sudden they try to appeal to Americans, and they don't get it. And it's one of the parts about this movie I don't get because of everything about the movie is a lot of American themes.
Yeah.
And if they're appealing to the Americas and trying to get Americans into anime, that's fine. But then appeal to everybody, not just Caucasians.
They do have some, like, in Rocket Girls.
Yeah, there are some where they're drawn a lot more obviously
Asian.
But
what about? But then again, what about more brown skin or more African American?
Well,
they do have those characters, and they do have some whole shows like that, and it's
if you scroll to one of the main characters, scroll down. There. See?
So there's one.
These
but
characters.
Like that's great. That's what we should have.
Yeah,
there should be more of that.
Girls.
There absolutely should be more of that.
But she's Southern Japanese, which is why.
Yeah,
that's fine. But I know there's dark-skinned people in Japan.
I know, but that's like.
Well, no, I think that's the problem. is because they draw like people from southern Japan, since they do get more sun, they're always more tan. They draw them so much darker, so when they have an actual black character, they go almost to the extreme for like, oh, this character's black. Like, yeah, that's offensive.
Yeah, but
You drew
Because
them
I don't
so
wanna-
damn
because-
dark.
No.
Like that.
But still have dark-skinned people, though. I understand that. Just like around the world, you have dark-skinned people who are British. You have dark-skinned people who are Italian, American, Canadian. Why can't those people be included? Why is it always white skin in almost everything anime?
They do. No.
Okay.
I hate that.
Really?
character. I really hate
an
you.
example of anything ever.
No, I'm just gonna explain something. Jesus, I was gonna make a point right
The
now.
blackface Pokemon?
Yes, goddamn. Can I say my point before you start getting?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Thank you. Goddamn. Okay. So back in what do you call it? They made Pokemon in the 90s. Okay. So this is what Jinx used to look like. On the left, top left is black, and obviously horrible caricature. Hell, look at Mr. Popo in Dragon Ball Z. Do you know Mr. Popo? Okay, hold on. I'm making the point. Anyways, point is they changed her to be this purplish thing, like legit in canon. She is now pink, or not pink. Sorry, purple.
It's still bad because it's still an example of...
No, I know. I'm getting there. Let's go. I'm getting to that point. Like,
I mean,
Japanese
wait.
people-
No, look at the one that's down there that's Mega Jinx call off. That looks like it's supposed to be Mae West
Which one?
or Aretha Franklin over down there.
Which one?
Up one row, to the right, in the ball gown. Yeah, it's up like a blackface version of Mae West.
Yeah.
I was
It's
thinking
so-
Dolly Parton, but yeah.
Or that works too.
Yeah.
It's so offensive, Jinx. And with the name Jinx, it's so offensive.
Yeah.
Wow. At what point do animators realize that they're doing this and say we have to stop, even as animators of Jap? And then I know kind of got off the point of the movie, but it's like it's one of the things that's never turned me on is because it's this Americanization of cultures.
That's the thing, man. With in Japan, they don't think that's offensive. Even when you point it out to them, it's like, but no. But yes.
But that's
But there are some good examples of African
Oh my God.
characters drawn appropriately.
Hold on. I'm getting to a point here. You actually stole my point. My point was they don't see this as offensive, and you can't impose your
They
own
don't.
cultural beliefs on somebody else. Maybe they will learn. Okay, maybe they won't. But hear me out. Come on.
No, okay. What about the Blast Rider?
But I mean,
Hold on.
I mean, I understand they're trying to give service, and they're doing it, but they're doing it in the most.
No. This isn't service.
He's just tan. He's not black.
No. What is he?
I would say
Japanese.
he's Southern Japanese.
Yeah.
No, he's actually Taiwanese. In Pokemon, he's from Taiwan.
Mm.
Which makes some sense that he's a darker skin for Asians.
Hold on. My point is, this is a different type of Asian. Okay? Everybody in Pokemon is Japanese. Katya's saying they all look white. Okay? They drew another Asian character as having these slitted eyes, which is an Asian feature, not just for Taiwanese, but most Asians.
This
Hold
is better. I mean,
hold on. My point is, the characters are Japanese. They believe themselves to be like that. This is the more stylized version, yes, influenced by Western cartoons. But my point is that characters themselves in Japanese anime are Japanese, unless they're made to be from...
Unless they're blatantly coded American.
Because there are
like
features
Meat
that
in
are... Go
Food
ahead.
Wars.
Yeah, Meat is American.
Because she's coded with red, white, and blue. But see, the thing is like, again, it's like I recognize this and I applaud this because this appeals to me better.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not a big Pokemon fan to begin with, which is why I don't watch it. I never got into it. But this is at least, I'm like, I appreciate this animation better because it is, if the person is supposed to be of Asian descent, make them look of Asian descent.
Wait, between,
Oh, when we're looking at
how
Manuka,
far
when we're looking at Manuka in this movie that we just watched, she's as American as can be, even though she's supposed to be Japanese.
Look up Black Butler, and I want to see her opinion on the culture of seal.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this is from a show called Blast Rider. This, I think, is a good example of them drawing an African American character. They actually do appropriate on skin tone. They don't super exaggerate his mannerisms. They don't super exaggerate the voice, even with the American voice.
Well, notice I'm trying to stay away from the phrase African American because I know there's dark skin people who look more African American, but they're Japanese.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it has to be African American.
He's
I'm not saying it has to be someone from Africa. It could be someone who's Japanese, born and raised in Japan, speaks Japan, but has dark skin.
Yeah.
Or Asian and has dark skin because dark skinned people are everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a culture in the world that doesn't have dark skinned people in it.
No.
Canadians do, Americans do, British do, Germans do, Polish do. You know, you're going to have that.
Show her seal from Black Butler so she can see what that looks like.
Now do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like this, there's this, that's too far and few in between, and like the movie like we just watched.
Yeah.
That, you know, they could have had so many different people and cultures because it didn't matter to the story. They neglected to have that. It only seems like the character you just showed me that looked African American.
Yeah.
It seems like that character was designed that way because it was supposed to be African American.
And in show, in the original show, he's black Japanese. But then in the English version of him, they made him African American.
Who is? Can you tell what culture he comes from?
No, but I know it's still the stylized Asian of anime.
Yeah, no, but I know,
but it's fairly white skin. The dark hair is what gives it, the feel that it may not be American. The dark hair, but it's still fair white skin, blue eye.
Yeah, but can you
with typical American teardrop shaped faces?
Nope, he's British.
I wouldn't say Americans have typical teardrop shaped faces.
No, but no, in cartoons, in animation, that's typical American.
Give me a second.
Look at any cartoon that's totally American, like Scooby Doo. Unless it's Velma, Daphne has almost a teardrop shape to her face.
Yeah.
It may not be as exaggerated as here.
Even if you look at the original X-Men, or even everybody has that more. Let's see, Rogue, she had that sharp jawline.
Teardrop. That nice pointy chin teardrop down here on the right with brown hair. Teardrop face with pointed chin.
X-Men Evolution with Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, that's what I'm just talking about.
This American character, but has that
Rogue, same thing. They're all drawn. All the women are drawn this way.
Yeah.
The men aren't, because men in American cartoons are supposed to have the big square jaw. But the thing is a lot of Asian men have that same type of square jaw, yet they're never depicted that way.
Yeah, and it's got their point. Like, Japan is drawing anime to appeal to the world audience, but they're saying the characters are Japanese, but they make them intentionally look like everybody American animation. And they've been doing it since the mid-'60s. Even with characters that they started with a stronger Asian resemblance, like Speed Racer, and then sudden shift to they got the wider eyes, they got the oval face, they got the lighter eye color.
Pull up anything from Food Wars. Hopefully we can get the picture of the main character's dad. I love this characterization of his dad because it is a very Asian look.
Yeah.
And I appealed to that, and I think one of the reasons why I ended up liking this. But again, all the same type of teardrop things. But let's see if we can find one of his dad. What was the dad's name? See, okay, perfect. Any one of those ones up at the top with the guy with the auburn hair.
Yeah.
He's got the darker skin that's typical of Asian people. His eyes are the typical slanted.
The slightly more squared off jaw.
Sometimes it's a little bit hyper pointed, but like in the top left, you can see it's squared off a little bit. The cheekbones are very Asian rather than apple cheeks that American cartoons have.
And the shading for the skin tone. Like,
even the one that's
versus the sun.
see the one that dotted the bottom middle. I love this character.
The naked one?
Yeah, just pull that picture up.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's less defined point of the chin that's hair drop for the guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit of more darker, not so pale skin because he's supposed to be a nudist, but it actually appeals as more Asian. It even reads more Asian, but like this one here with the dad and the main character, just below it, no, up one right there. You just get that feel of it's more Asian. Yes, they're making him more look youthful, but it's just that it's almost like it's a more Asian aesthetic drawing here compared to what we just watched. And so much of American animation has got that Americanization of features. Now,
I just thought of it.
instead of father, type in meat.
Haha, I love meat.
And you'll see the big difference. There she is in the red, white, and blue.
Yes.
She is very
See the
characterized American.
Yes. And how do we draw her as an American? It's also how do we draw a girl or a gal,
What I was going to say.
which from the show, My Girlfriend is a Gal.
Yeah.
The main character. So you draw like that, even though Japanese. But
The whole story of the
She's
background of
working
this character is
Westernized.
that she's from America, her family's from America. They moved to Japan and created a meat industry in Japan based upon her knowledge of cattle in the United States. So she is American, but lives in Japan and has a Japanese name because they adopted Japanese names going into Japan to be more part of the culture.
Okay, but then going to your point from before, the tan then.
What?
The white on this, but American. She's supposed to be American, from America, just came to Japan later, so...
her point was, you see how they drew her, how they animated her,
Yes.
how they pigmented her skin. Then you go back to how the main character from Rider Wave is pigmented, her face and shit, how she's animated. They're the same character. The ideal what an American character
she's
looks
red hair.
like.
Like Ariel.
Is-
I said she was blonde, but she's red hair. And
Yeah, but she's got the red hair, but she's got that tan, she's got the big eyes. You know what I mean?
the long, skinny legs.
Or Peach Girl.
The typical beach bimbo girl.
Peach Girl.
Yeah.
That's another good example of what is supposed to be a girl who just spends all her time outdoors, so she has a tan. But everybody assumes she's just trying to be super American because she looks like that.
But it's actually
But that is more of an example of an Asian with a tan versus they just drew her darker. Because they have the character and they actually draw attention to the fact that her skin's so dark. She must be one of those slutty Joe girls.
Now here's the other wonderful thing is go to the Japanese version of Sailor Moon, the animated version of Sailor Moon from Japan.
Which one?
they're both. Yeah, there's two. There's Crystal and the original.
The original.
This should be the original.
Yep, she is the original.
Yeah.
Why? How many Japanese women look like that?
But she is Japanese.
So why does she look like she just came off of a U.S. naval ship?
The uniform.
The
That's
uniform
their
is
uniform
called-
in
yeah.
middle school and high school in Japan.
But do you know why that is?
Because I know it has something to do with imperialism.
Because
No.
America basically took over Japan right after the war.
War. And then they were given spare uniforms that became the norm. That were for the women sailor, the women,
That's why
the naval
white
woman's
uniform-
dress uniform.
That's why the
They got the
uniform
spare
looks
ones.
like just the sailor dress blues because it's just the blue blazer and the blue slacks that the ship's crew would wear when they're on shore.
That parochial schoolgirl or sailor girl is not traditional Japanese. It's become since World War II because that's what they remember the girls wearing all the time, but it's not historical.
It's the rebuilding process turned that into the rebuilding.
Because what would have been a traditional at the time was girls would wear Japanese robes, not American miniskirts.
Now, he's a good example of that's a kid who died immediately after World War II.
Yes.
During the rebuilding. So his school uniform looks like Japanese Navy.
That's what I was going to say.
Girls wore similar outfits to that, but they didn't look like the American sailor suits.
If you imagine, think about this. Think about what we just saw with Sailor Moon, and think Daffy Duck with a skirt.
Yeah.
I think you mean Donald.
Oh, excuse me, Donald.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, yeah, the Donald Duck sailor suit is
It's the typical.
it's the Japanese schoolgirl suit.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the sailor dress whites, and for the American women, they had the navy skirts.
And that's because the U.S. Navy set up like 4 bases immediately after the war and helped with the whole rebuilding process. And hey, we'll donate these because our sailors can't wear them anymore.
Because they called all the women back.
That's also why it started becoming a thing.
We
Especially through the 60s.
gave so much military surplus to Japan to help rebuild after we just destroyed their country.
Because of us giving them so much surplus uniform, and it started becoming a thing that teenage girls wore. That's why in the 60s it started becoming a thing for all the branches of the military to start calling the Navy uniform a blouse. All soldiers wear shirts. Seamen wear blouses.
And
Because Japanese schoolgirls wear sailors' uniform.
but even before then, it was basically a big ass blouse.
Right, but nobody called it that until
Women
teenage
started-
girls started wearing them as their daily clothing. And it became
you
a
see,
world thing.
there's a lot of effect of what American has done, and that's just like the thing. It's like, why is everybody bowing down to white Caucasian people, even in animation and anime? Depict more people who look like people from your own country rather than America or France. We don't care anymore. I mean, talk to millennials today and people who are the younger youth that are under, I'm going to say, 25. And ask them if they care about whether or not a white girl is represented more than someone of their typical culture, would that look like they're from Japan or from China, if they're supposed to be Japanese or Chinese. And can they be still of dark colored skin and still be that way without it being over Americanized in characteristics? Like, so many of these people, like when you brought up the one that looked like they were African American, I'm sure that they act like an American in the cartoon. They don't tend to act Japanese.
Yeah.
Okay, so why can't they act Japanese in like the way that the people of Japan do? Why is that African American? I'm going to ask you guys.
Yeah.
Is it typically depicted as rude, loud, and obnoxious?
Which one?
I showed you
The
like
one,
three
the one,
characters.
the military, the one that looked like with the
ones from Black Friday.
Oh, you tell me.
In the original Japanese, no. In the American one, not so much. He had moments where it's like it's basically the angry black man moment. But I think that's a good example. They didn't make the fact that he's a black
See,
character.
this is what I'm saying. This is like for
his
me. It's
character.
like all I've seen is one thing. No, now I'm being introduced. Like you're showing me different things. I appreciate that. I'm doing that.
Ooh.
Can
I thought that was a good example of kind of this. Pull any picture of Motoko Kusanagi.
Oh,
Wasn't there one
The
that
maid.
was dark skin in Food Wars that competed, and he was really the really loud angry one.
There's the
The
God
one that
knows
competed
that
against
that's
the
not
main
him.
character.
Okay. Now,
But he's in
you see
from the Middle
any
East.
drawing of this character from any of the time periods of her manga, the anime, the movies. And then, why did they pick a white actress to play her? Because she looks like the character. I mean, you had to have a still. I think they have a side by side of the character with Scarlett Johansson on
Where?
No, they don't. But I've seen the still side by side. But like, remember Oshi, who did the Ghost in the Shell movies?
But the thing
He
is,
even said the reason she was picked was she looks like the character. That's why.
but that doesn't go to my point that they're drawing more Americanized
Yeah.
people,
But then,
and what we recognize as
Here you go.
Americans or Caucasians, rather than
yeah. But see, this is one of those characters that the world lost their shit because, oh, they picked a white actress to play the Japanese character who's in a cyborg body that can look like anything she wants it to. But they explained in the manga that she chose to look more European.
yeah.
How can they have a white girl play her?
Then
She looks
that's
like the
fair.
character.
If that's true to that, but then I'm going to ask again though, is that why did the writer write it that way?
Yeah.
Why didn't the writer, who might have been Japanese, say, I'm going to make sure she looks Japanese to represent a Japanese hero rather than someone who's an American hero?
Probably fetish.
That actually make sense because she's a spy
Wait, finish?
who was sent
Fetish.
to blend in
Fetish.
with European military. So
Yeah.
they actually gave
Yeah.
mechanical reason why her specific character looked more European. Why most of the characters in that anime look that way? It's just they can pick anybody they want.
Well, again, there's Japanese Americans who lived their life all over here, so she'd still be able to blend in.
Yeah.
That's my point. She
Not-
would still be able to blend in America as someone who looks Japanese because Japanese make a good portion of our population, and you can't go to a city in America other than maybe some in Wyoming and a couple others where you won't find any Asian people.
Those
Well,
aren't
they
really
went with- In the canon for their manga,
I know. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
like the world all
we're
closed
in
their
this
borders.
we're in this phase where like we're trying to be culturally one culturally appropriate, two culturally accepting, and yet we're still not even in manga and so many things being culturally accepted.
I get it. It makes sense. And yeah, you can see a lot of characters are drawn to look more.
That's all. That
Yeah.
was my whole point. It's just like I would just like to see more diversity in it without it being
I understand.
exaggerations of a culture that they find not necessarily as
I do. Most part. The only example I can think of a decent anime, A-I-R-U,
the
where
way.
everybody's more westernized in how they
Am
act.
I overstepping my bounds here, Christina? Do you
No.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like
Well, like,
Japanese
they
is a
act
culture-
to
wait,
the character to be
Japanese is
more
a culture that totally has a this culture of respect and honesty and truthfulness and acceptance. But every time that it's a character that is rude, offensive, blah blah blah, then it becomes
Yeah.
the other color in most cases.
Hear me out, but
And I understand that that's because that's how they see some of these people. But then again, then draw the ones that are just like them that are people of color.
hear me out. But I understand what you're saying in terms of what's it called, trying to get more diversity into it. But at the same time, you can't force it. And it sounds, I'm trying to be respectful. From my understanding, that it sounds like you're trying to impose the diversity when you can't really do that. And hear me out. Like right now,
But aren't we in this country?
We're talking about
I'm
Japan.
talking about Japan though.
I know, but you said we can't force, but we're still forcing it upon maybe not Japan, but we're forcing it upon other countries. And if you tell me we're not, I'm going to say you're wrong because we do force it upon other nations.
Then you. Wait. I can understand when
We
it comes to
force it. We
government
force it
contracts, but
upon.
what
Like,
else?
if something comes out of England and it's like that, we say that's culturally inappropriate. We stop it. If something comes out of Australia and it's like that, we stop it. If it comes out of Canada, we stop it. So
I disagree. I mean,
You.
no. Hear me out, okay? Because what's it called? I've seen a lot of different things from Japan. Some of it is effed up. Some of it's not.
don't. Okay.
No, hold on. You're talking about different countries. I'm getting to a point here, okay? You're right that we stopped it if it's not culturally appropriate. Now, the thing is, in my experience, the U.S. is the most free in terms of allowing things in. A lot of other countries have stopped it, like Australia, England, and an Asian country. I forgot the name. Like, they actually stopped distribution of, like, if this show was somehow inappropriate, they would literally say, okay, this can't run anymore and take it off TV and ban it, basically. Hell, an anime that actually was banned back in the 90s was Kite. It was really, really gory and had questionable sexual material. And then it came right back out.
I think you misinterpreted what I said. We stop when, like, the UK puts something out and they do let's say a cartoon or TV show, and there's some cultural inappropriateness regarding people who are black or Asian or whatever, or even Irish. We will take offense to that, and we won't accept it here in the United States.
Like what?
Or we'll tell them that they have to change it before it can come to the United States. And we do that.
No, I agree. Okay.
Okay. If we could do that for these other countries, then why is it okay that we let Japan do the same thing? It's I think it's, to me, is we have certain rules for certain things for whatever reason. But we're at a point in time in this country, and I'm sorry, I think I'm getting like way off something deep here, but we're at a point where, like, we either need to come together and blend and accept people for their differences, and that a black person is just as much American, or a Japanese person is just as much American if they're born in America, and stop calling Japanese Americans, calling them African Americans because they're just American, and allow that to be. And then, in that same sense, in Japan, they would have to should be able to do the same thing, or any other country.
The hard part is Japan isn't diverse in. It's getting more diverse now, but it hasn't had the amount of, like, experience with other cultures that we have, because we have, like, experience with all cultures.
But we still do it. So that has really no weight to the differences here.
Well, too,
Because
and
I
then,
know everybody's going to say they don't. I'm just coming from... I'm at a belief where if we don't start being proactive in this rather than reactive, we're going to run into further trouble. And it's just like, at this point, just diversify. It doesn't hurt anybody to sit there and say someone who is dark skinned, looks African American or African in Japanimation is this lovey dovey person like the character we just seen. Like, it could have been just as easily the main character in what was it? It was Ride Your Wave. That main character could have been just as easily dark skinned instead of ultra pale white and be the heroine. It's almost like white savior complex.
I think in some ways, though,
Does that?
Yeah. It is kind of something Japan does suffer from a little bit. They really do see the white savior thing, because white people blew them to the Stone Age and then helped them rebuild, become one of the most technological powerhouses in the world. They see themselves as better because white. So whenever
I'm
they
not
do
trying to be
anything that
again. I'm not trying. I'm
offensive-
sorry for like getting on this.
Yeah.
It's just to me, this is why I've had a hard time getting into anime, and I would like to just see more of that. Get away from the white heroine and everything.
the reason I said,
And yeah, I'm not talking about the stuff that you light up and smoke up and run and things like that. But sorry,
but
try to
this
bring name
show-
right.
why I said bring up this one, Aru no Sora, is this is a great example of when Japanese animators draw Japanese characters to look Japanese, they don't make them look dumb. Every anime I've watched where they try to make their Japanese characters look as Japanese as possible, they give them these permanent ducklet faces.
See, I would be kind of curious to see this cartoon because it looks like they have diversity. You know, got someone with the African style, you know,
Yeah. It's like,
Afro hair.
yeah,
and
Justin
then-
Cornrow, he went to America for a couple years, so he started styling his hair that way. Because
and then you got the couple
saw
with this typical
Easter
Japanese, you know.
Well, he's basically the male version of G.
Yeah.
And then you got the typical white-looking American blonde-haired guy with the business
Yeah.
cut. I mean, it's so stereotypical, it's almost sad, but at least...
Yeah.
Wait,
But
who? Which
this is
one?
what the two characters, the blonde with the pompadour and the big dark guy with the fro.
Okay, he's a
twin
pompadour.
brothers. Yes.
We broke her.
Okay, that's funny, I get the humor, but it's so this is so stereotypical.
Yeah.
Break the stereotypes.
But like the good example is when you see the silhouette, see did you show the characters in silhouette where they all look white? As you look at that picture and you look at it, yeah, that one right there. How did you draw those characters wrong? Again, the guy at the pompadour and the guy at the fro are twin brothers, yet
Look nothing
no,
alike.
one of the fro, he's a very obviously big lipped African American looking character when you see this silhouette type drawing
Uh-huh.
versus the American guy. Twin brothers.
Yeah, and then look at this one over here where it's on Sora. No, sorry, hold on. Look at it, I mean, you can't get any more American than that with freckles. And again,
Yeah.
I get that they could be these people in there, but it's always this. It's
Yeah.
always this almost.
Okay, also, there is one thing. When it comes to anime, like, if they have this freckle, like a tear of sadness, so it's actually, like, meaning that character's gonna struggle and have a hard time. Because they have, like, a permanent tear mark on their face.
But-
And that's actually in the culture.
She
That
means
part. But yeah, I know, you mean freckles.
The female character has, compared to other female characters in this show, she has very light white skin.
It looks very American.
Naturally blonde hair, bigger eyes, and more, actually, a less oval shape.
And is she the heroine in the cartoon?
Yeah,
she's like
is in one of the-
she's the main character, like one of the main characters. Oh,
the main
she,
character is actually back on the that dude with the blue hair, right there, 15. He's the main character. He's Sora.
What? No, I don't get it.
Oh,
I guess it's
But,
the idea of stereotypes.
back up to
It would be
all-
like the example, like
Back up to all. Now her with the. She's what most female characters in that anime look like. They're darker skinned and look Asian. They also get the weird ducklet treatment that the guys get for some reason. But the one female assistant coach girl who's blonde is a naturally blonde, white Japanese girl who does not look like the rest of her family. She is anime character itis personified. Her skin color is different than the rest of her family.
prime
Her
example of what
hair
I'm
color
talking
is different
about.
than the rest of her
It's like
family.
it doesn't have that continuity, and I guess and it is the culture, it is the style. But are we now feeding into this culture and style because it's the culture and style, or does it need to sit there and say, you know what, we can still have some of this, but without it being so
Sometimes,
blatantly almost offensive?
sometimes too, like in anime, when you see like a person who's they're the parents of a child or something like that, they rarely match anything. So because like if you look at Sailor Moon, for example, small lady, she has pink hair. Where did that come from?
Her father has black hair. Her mom has blonde hair. So yeah,
Exactly.
Wait, but
I think that's the difference between the shows that are like magical, like Sailor Moon. Weird hair colors are more of the norm. This is a show that's heavily grounded in reality. There's no one's superpowers here, yet they have that anime character that stands out from the rest of the family.
like you said, a lot of this has to do with that culture, but and how much of this culture is being perpetuated with these stereotypes that people like me are saying, come on, can we just get something that's a little bit more, not pound in your face stereotypes in this thing, and still be it within the realm of anime? Does it begin that like once you start having more realistic characters who represent realistic people, that all of a sudden they can't be part of manga?
Yeah.
Where people can identify them with them easier?
okay. Hear me out. And how do I say this? For me, I like anime, and I can kind of understand what you're getting at, and I kind of understand what Sean was talking about the white savior. But for me, thinking about it historically, like you said, how the U.S. gave them the uniforms and gave them the surplus. They also gave them animation, and then they took it and ran with it. The entire drawing.
No, Japanese
cartoons started
long before
Disney.
No. You're right. Hear me out, though. Okay, according to what I've seen and studied, okay, they took cartoon comics and then ran with that drawing style because like you said, the teardrop and the guys with the chin. Okay, we can see that in American and here. Now, they took that animation style from after the war, and then ran with it, according to what I've seen in different documentaries.
Right.
And then from there, they developed into this. Now, I can see where you're coming from with the white savior and the trying to draw everything as European, white, and the like. But at the same time, I never saw it that way. And maybe I'm naive in that fact, but I'm saying that I've seen different anime from all genres and seen different things that resonate. And I never saw these characters as just Japanese or as white. I saw these characters as people who I can relate to, who tell their stories and who teach me something.
That's the
main point, and I get it. But again...
No, hold on. I'm almost done.
Yeah.
I'm almost done. So, I understand what you're talking about with diversity and coming to resonate maybe in a different way than I have. Now, there are changes being made, little by little. So I understand why it can... What's the word? Fuck. I am bad with words. How it can make you like, I don't want to watch this. But at the same time, I would say, if you watch it from my sphere rather than that one, giving it a chance, even the older stuff, which might offend you more in that way, still has a good story to tell. And even now, there are more anime coming out that do not have do not have as much of the white man savior concepts.
Oh, okay. So yes, you're absolutely right. Just be aware that, like, I do watch things for the story that's there, because there's stuff that she forces me to watch that I would never have watched, and then I become emotionally attached because of the story. If the story's there, the story's there. But if that's the case, if it's a good story, those stereotypes don't need to be there. Because those stereotypes hold back that story from standing the test of time.
Yeah, basically, if it's a good story, it's great. But when you have a character like Miki, who's that over-the-top American, if you watch Food Wars in Japanese, she speaks in that broken English. Like they intentionally make her not speak in Japanese, or she speaks in bad Japanese to show that she learned Japanese because her family moved to Japan. She's not fluent. They use a lot of American stereotypes. So, if you're watching
No
for the
kidding.
culture, so if you're watching for
You know what I'm talking about, right?
so if you're watching for the culture part of it, you get drawn out of it right there because you're not identifying with the character that's American as an American because it's only showing you your caricature, not your character.
Yes, that's it. That's the phrase right there. It's showing the caricature, not the character.
Okay, now coming at it from a different angle, I actually resonated with her in Japanese because I didn't speak English well. Okay, so again, not the, what do you call it, over the top and, what do you call it?
You resonate with a different way. I get that. I'm seeing that I get that. Everybody's going to resonate a different way. And I totally get that. I'm not gonna knock that. And maybe there is some purpose to some of the stuff that they do for people like you. It's just that.
Wait, what do you mean by people like me? I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
But no, like,
I need something I can throw at you.
Right. You probably just accidentally hit the nail on the head.
I know.
You resonated with the character because you understood I don't fit in with everyone around me, but I'm trying. Whereas everyone
The character
else
also
watching the show
notices that
is-
character was meant to
the
be
character that's meant to
an
represent
insulting
me
character,
is-
an insult and
Yeah.
and rude and obnoxious and annoying because they're American.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that like I'm mad at Japan for making us look that way because in general Americans are that.
Yeah.
It's just that like, and it works for that show because that's the whole nature of the show, and they make a point of this. It's about culture war, not necessarily just food war. They just use food wars to show the culture wars. Because that's what that show really is about.
Okay, I really think you might hate it, but I think you'll also love it. If you watched, what's it called? Hetalia. Christina?
Yeah.
Show her Hetalia.
Eventually. Ooh. I got another thing for also the different views here.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Again-
well, no, wait. Here's a great example.
Well, I'm thinking in terms
Yeah,
of-
it's
Content
hilarious.
is also a lot newer to anime than us, so it could also just be we've been watching this for so long. We're desensitized to it. We're used to it. This is what anime is to us. That's it. Just now getting into it within the last year.
That
year
does
and a
make a
half.
lot of sense.
So stuff that we see as normal because anime is anime. That's fucking weird.
And I'm going to give another example why this is like so strange. I can go back and look at movies like Spaceballs and all the other Mel Brooks movies that were so popular in the 80s and 70s,
Yeah.
like Blazing Saddles. But you look at it today,
They're offensive as fuck.
yes,
But they're cinema like
and there's
is a great example of
there's
wonderful
nostalgia in that understanding of what that culture was back then, and everybody understood it, and then realizing that today we've advanced from that is no longer appropriate and it needs to change.
Hold on, wait. But do you mean it needs to change, like they need to recut the movie, or changes in going forward?
Changes in going forward. I'm not saying that those movies have to change at all. Because again, I will go and watch Blazing Saddles. I know that it's offensive, and I comment on how offensive it is, and other movies like that. What was that? The one where Robert Downey Jr. did the blackface. Thunder.
Tropic Thunder. That's a
Tropic Thunder. Here is a great example of a movie actually being ahead of its time and showing how racist things were. You have Robert Downey Jr. playing a white guy, playing a black guy, who's playing a white guy who in blackface.
Yeah.
That's the concept of the character. every black person knows this and knows that that's what that character is. It's not meant to be offensive, but to poke at how offensive it used to be. And they recognize it as that. And that's one thing, to recognize and poke fun at how horrible this was, and then the genius behind making it work. Because you go ask 100 out of 100 people who are African descent here in the United States, African American, or whatever you want to call them, black, I don't care. You go and ask them what they thought about Robert Downey Jr. and blackface in that movie, and they're like, you probably get 90 of them say, it was brilliant. You'll get 10 people to say it's offensive.
But then there's another movie that came out in the 80s. I forgot who played Jake Krieger, but he basically blackface to get into college. You ask anybody who saw that movie, that's offensive as shit.
Yeah, yes, you're right. I do.
It's that they kind of pointed out in that same vein of it's just a dude playing a character, but he's playing a character
like white girls.
White girls. Most people aren't offended by white girls because they
it's the opposite
out as the joke, and it's their running joke. But they point it out.
It's how offensive it really is.
Yeah, it's when they don't point it out, and they just go with it. Like Mickey Rooney and Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's offensive.
Al Jolson in the original movies where he was doing some blackface on film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like those.
I mean, and the truth is now, if you go in the history of Al Jolson, he was trying to bring honor, but because the industry wouldn't let black people have leading roles, he had to do blackface.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to think that that's okay. The truth is back then, that was acceptable, but today when you try to do that, it's not, because we know it's not, because black people are capable.
Okay, I understand, and I agree with, to an extent. Now, the reason I had a visceral reaction to what you were saying before was because I've seen people try to force political correctness into something when it wouldn't work. And I thought that's what you were trying to do. My apologies. But
No.
my point was that it has to be done a certain way. Like, right now, organically, they are bringing more characters into anime. Like I was saying before, I know that right now in South American countries and parts of Mexico, they still practice blackface. And I know that it's a problem, and I wish they didn't. But obviously they have to change. And I'd say give the culture a chance to change.
Mm-hmm. But we as the audience have to say, we want this change. Please bring this change. It's not that we're saying demanding. It's saying, hey, we respect what you've done in the past, but can you bring more of this in?
The thing is, though,
and we're not doing that.
The thing, though, it has to come from the people living in Japan, because they don't make anime for us.
Right, but the thing is that's what I'm saying, is the audience has to say, can we have more? Even if it's here in America, can we have more representation of...
And that's what it is. It's like, with the global streaming, more shows are being made for that international audience. So, if you're seeking something that's offensive, the important thing, like complaining about it, especially even just complaining to the studios, it doesn't seem to change them. What changes them is when you just don't watch it. If they don't get that viewership, they don't get that money. They don't get that money. Why weren't people watching my show? Because we didn't like it because we were offended by your character. We can write you 1,000 letters and you don't listen. If we don't give you our money by paying for the streaming of it.
That's what I'm going to say. That's another story, but that's okay. Oh, no, I'm going to change that. Unchecked capitalism sucks.
Yeah.
Moving on, comrade. No, I'm kidding.
No, but no, he's right. We have to put our money where our mouth is.
Yes.
And that is true. You know.
Now, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, like I was saying before...
I know, I'm a dumb Polak, it doesn't matter.
Oh, sure. Like, in terms of inputting diversity, like, there are characters coming out of Marvel Comics that I actually am interested in. Like, the new Ms. Marvel, what do you call it? Riri, I forgot her name. Something. Ironheart. Anyways, like they're introducing characters that are different races, which is awesome. They have most of their roster of heroes as white. Don't change the heroes. Make other universes. Have a different character. Have Juan Cortez as Spider-Man of Earth 7, whatever. You know what I mean?
Like Miles as Black as Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
I get that. No, and I do get that. But it's also like DC just came out and said Tim Drake Robin is bisexual. So now are we going to see a bisexual Tim Drake in Titans on HBO?
Most likely.
that would be interesting.
See, this is the thing. But if they don't, see, it seems like they want to do it, but then when it's portrayed in film, it's something different because then you get people
That's like one of the fastest retcons ever from DC was when they decided Catwoman was a lesbian. When they started the New 52.
I thought you were
That
going
didn't even make it a fucking year.
Okay, one thing that did happen and is still happening, original Green Lantern came out as gay and has a boyfriend. And that storyline is actually pretty good. I like that one.
right, but they won't touch that storyline.
With media. You mean like visual media or...
In film.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, they do it in the books. Great. Wonderful.
But
But now, if we put it into film, what happens?
Get a gay Hal Jordan?
It's like this idea of a black Superman.
Oh, not Hal Jordan. Yeah, I forget the name.
Yeah.
But it's like these people that are having a fit about a black Superman.
No, yeah, that's bullshit.
Because he's an alien. Who cares if he's white? The only reason why he was depicted as white is because the person who created Superman, the man who created him and said he wanted the image of Superman in the image of his father who died in the line of duty as a cop. That's why Superman could stop bullets. Because he was killed and shot by a bullet.
And both of the original creators were Jewish. That's why his origin story is basically the Moses story. So,
Right.
hey, let's find a black Jew to play it.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I get that. That's the original, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think I get it, but okay.
The Black Panther, he's from Africa, Wakanda.
Yeah.
The character was one of the first black depicted superhero comics in Marvel that went worldwide. His color of skin and his culture is based upon where he lived and is core to his character. If it's not core to the character, let's be diverse.
Hear me out, and I agree with most of what you said. Like, hear me out. Just again, like if a character is established, don't touch them because I grew up with that character and I idolize that character. It's kind of like I don't own the character; it's owned by the company. But at the same time, like I said before, different universe type things, go for it. But if it's main continuity, we already know the character's white. He's white. Keep him white. Make a new character. Bring him in.
So in that realm, you think that Dick Tracy should always be portrayed by a white person who fights
Toe-headed.
Wait. No. He fights immigrant Americans, and the darker their skin gets, the more vile they become.
I don't follow Dick Tracy, but I'll take your word for it. Okay.
But that's what Dick Tracy was.
No. I'm asking something. Okay. What was the storyline? To me, the storyline matters.
Dick Tracy is the version of Dillinger versus Capone.
Dillinger?
No, not Dillinger.
Dick Tracy's a cop. He's a detective.
Detective.
But all the gangsters are Irish American, Italian American, Russian American. They're all immigrants. But they literally, the darker the skin that the character was drawn with, the worse of a criminal they were. So when they finally got to the one criminal who was actually black, he was the most evil fucking thing they've ever put on paper. Because he was black. Not because he did horrible things. like half the crimes they listed for him were pettier shit than what the other guys did. But they called the whole police force to get the guy.
Dick Tracy's like the Elliness.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yes. Okay. All right then. What's it called? I know for a fact that Tracy's still going just because the newspaper. So
And you almost never see any of the black ones because they were so offensive.
okay,
It's not still going; it's recurring. There's been no new Dick Tracy
Yeah,
comics
they
for
just keep
years.
reprinting.
Oh,
They're
I know
reprinting.
that. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Annie and Peanuts. They're all just reprints. Even Garfield's all nothing but reprints. So if you see any of those cartoons in the newspaper, they're just reprints of past ones.
Okay. All right. So then, in using my idea, then if it was still being written, then write something new. Like put more into it. Don't just write darker, evil as sin, whatever.
But it would change. But you said if it changes the core continuity
Of the hero.
Low.
No.
If the hero was established as white, they should remain white.
Yes.
No.
Okay, so here I'm saying about the character. Okay, so I don't know what the darkest character's name was. Let's say John Johnson. Okay, who cares? John Johnson. Okay, if it's John Johnson, if he's the evil main bad, he's the evil main bad. If there's somebody worse than him who's white, go for it, write it. Or if you came up with new characters like freaking G.I. Joe and Cobra.
But if it's establishing and maintaining, I understand for continuity. I get that, but there's at some point, why do all the heroes, or the majority of the heroes, have to be white male?
No. I agree. I don't think they all have to be.
And then why can't Batman, who is Bruce Wayne, not some other Batman like in Batman Beyond, eventually be drawn as black? He was a successful black man who had his parents killed.
You can. No. Again, like I said, if it's the same... Okay, let me give you an example. Elseworlds comics, Bruce Wayne became Superman, and Superman became Batman.
That's not what I'm talking about. Why can't they take all the original Batmans and make him African American and tell the same story with him being African American?
They can.
So if they try to do that, is that a problem for you?
No, as long as it's a different universe.
No, it's the same exact universe, just told as a African.
Batman the Animated Show, which is arguably one of the best Batmans.
Okay.
But Bruce Wayne and Batman are now black. The exact same show, the exact same universe, everything's
Nothing's
the same.
changed except they just changed the color of Batman's skin. Same voice, same stories, everything, but now just Batman is black.
For you, did that ruin your character?
Yes and no. Again, hear me out.
Why is there a yes in that?
Yes, because I know him as a white dude.
Right.
So it would make you uncomfortable, but...
So, you identify as with Bruce Wayne and Batman being a white man.
Well, the problem using
if they
him
made
though.
him black, it's literally the only thing they changed about it. They don't change his personality. They don't change his voice actor. They change nothing about him except they draw him as a black man. Does that change the character for you? The answer should be no. There's no difference with him.
His skin color has nothing to do with his character. But you were going to say something.
Yeah, the thing is though, like, also they'd have to write in a lot of discrimination that's happened to him, so it would probably build an even more
because
better character.
His money gets him his respect.
Yeah,
it's always been shown that Bruce Wayne's respect comes from his money.
Yeah, but
not
some people are racist assholes. Come
not
on.
from his personality. Yeah. There's a lot of people that dislike Batman because of his money.
But that's what it is. Like, Batman, his whole family, everything, all of it was just black.
Nothing else changed.
The Wayne family are black people.
They respect him for his money or disrespect him for his money.
Okay.
Or Iron Man. Iron Man is a rich.
Why do we have to bring it in that he has to be discriminated against in other ways because of the color of his skin?
Because that's the reality of what people are going through. And it would, if you didn't have that, then it would be like you're trying to sell this idealized version of the world and whitewashing the racism that he would have experienced.
Or it could be we're just trying to say black people could be just as respected as white, which does the same thing. It points out the racial undertone, because now you're saying that he's not a believable character if he doesn't have discrimination against him because of his skin tone.
Because a lot of people are still assholes.
Right. But
I mean, you gotta face it.
Then you're forcing the idea of this culture that black people are inferior and should be discriminated against. And I'm saying, no, they shouldn't. That's why Batman can be black.
I agree they shouldn't, but that still doesn't take away the reality of they are.
So how do we as a society make that change where we see these problems and make that change? Where do we start? Because the hardest place to start is me convince you not to, or not saying you, but someone else not to be racist. Where do we start? For me, it's the media. The media has to stop portraying these things and change the narrative. And saying Batman can be black without being discriminated against the skin. A Jewish person could be rich without having to be thought as of a criminal banker. Whatever the stereotype is, it's like, why do we have to keep portraying these negative stereotypes of people instead of putting them in different perspective and still have them be believable? And to me, it's we grow up with these idols and we're looking at things and characters like superhero characters or anime heroes or cartoon heroes or characters from movies and things like this, and we idolize them as being role models. But they're still only being role models in this very limited stereotypical set. I've talked to Christina about this, and she knows this. For example, I have a thing about actors and actresses. To me, they're not considered great until they do comedy, drama, and play an evil character. If they can't do those things, how are they considered great? Can we really see them as great people or idols if we can't see them in all their aspects without our expectations of them being this one thing? Like, people put down Robin Williams for a lot of his movies where he's not doing a comedic thing. And then they're so amazed that he's this great actor in Good Will Hunting or The Fisherman. What was that about?
1 Hour Photo. He played a pretty creepy guy.
Right. But that's my point. 1 Hour Photo. He looks like a big guy in 1 Hour Photo. That's even more creepy. But that's my point. We now break this perception of who he is of just being a comedic actor, and now we see him in drama, and we see him as something better. It's the same thing with everything that we see. Why does it have to fit in this compartment of these? You see what I'm saying? And to me, it starts with media. There's this whole debate about does life imitate art or art imitate life? I think that artists look to the future of what can be and hope that we get there. Prime example for the nerds in the room and online and listening to us, Star Trek. Okay. But you see what I'm saying? Here's someone that Gene Roddenberry looked to the future of what society could be if we reached our best condition of life and society, and then still strive to better ourselves even more by going beyond our planet. That's the whole premise. The whole premise of Star Trek is a socialistic, true Marxist communist society. Almost a utopia. And if you tell me that that's not true, it is, because he even says it is. I mean, that was his ideal. It's this ideal that we help each other, that it doesn't matter the color of our skin, it doesn't matter what planet you were born on and what you look like because you're an alien species. We want to absorb you in, and we won't do that until you ask us to come and join us. Which in itself is the ironic dichotomy of the series, because how do they learn about you if you don't introduce yourself? And I think the Next Generation kind of started to attack that issue, but in the first directive, right?
Prime directive, but yeah.
Prime directive, yeah. How do you get other cultures in if you don't go and visit them and expose yourself to them? Why do you have to wait for them to reach your technology before you and your intelligence level to draw them in? Which is why I think the Next Generation is the better series. Sorry if you disagree, but it's not up for debate.
I like Next Generation. I don't like Voyager. I like Next Gen.
I like Voyager.
Well, you like Voyager because of
I'm
7 of
not
9. Well,
very okay.
But you see what I'm saying? But if you understand what I'm saying in this, it's like, that's like the idea. Do we start with the media and ask our representatives who are trying to represent us and telling our stories to broaden their horizons? Or say, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll try to do better than that?
Here's the way I look at it. You can try, and it will happen eventually, but you can't shoehorn it in. And hear me out. I'm not saying, going back to the Batman example, alright? The reason I have a problem with a black Batman is not because he's black, it's because I know Batman as a white guy, okay? Now, you gave the example of the Batman animated series, acclaimed, same thing, all black. In my head...
Yeah, go on.
Okay. In my head canon, if they made the entire thing again, I would accept it. It would give me a minute of pause, but it wouldn't be more along the lines of like, okay, in my head canon, this is a different universe. His name is Bruce Wayne. He's black. He's not the one I grew up with, but this is a different universe. So even if it's the exact same story,
canon, you need it to be a different universe. What we're saying is, why can't that be the universe? Like, when you look up Batman, why is he not African American?
because it was made in the 1920s.
But even if they changed it, not changing a new thing. Primer, Batman's black.
In my
retcon everything. And
But
go
see,
with it.
the problem is what you're saying is, in your headspace, in your headcanon, it's a different universe.
Yeah.
No, hear me out. Okay, if going by your storyline that Batman is black in the main universe, then there's a reason for it. And hear me out. Okay, if we're talking again in DC mechanics and all that shit, some sort of crisis where Batman is erased or Bruce Wayne is erased white and Bruce Wayne is made black.
Yeah.
Okay, hear me out. Hold on. In my head canon, there needs to be a reason for it. It can't just be.
Wait,
holy shit.
no. I got it. I have this one. We grew up knowing Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1942, founded America, was this great person, right? What do we know is the truth?
Rape, pillaging, stealing a lot of money.
So is it that hard for you to change your headspace about who this character is?
Say that again? No, I didn't hear you.
Is it that hard for you to change your headspace canon about Christopher Columbus? And is it as hard to change that headspace as it is for Batman?
Actually, it was the same. That I had to change in...
So for you, you have to see this completely different from Christopher Columbus?
You needed someone to give you reason and proof why Christopher Columbus is one of the worst human beings who ever lived.
Yes.
Versus the guy who, the seamster who created America because he found us, even though he never even made it this far.
Yeah.
Now put that in perspective with your Batmans.
I would need proof that he's black, or...
Nothing's changed about the story. You said you had a problem a little bit with, it's almost the same for Christopher Columbus, yet you have a reason for Christopher Columbus being that way, but you're still saying it's the same. Why does Batman have to be different when you say it's the same story, someone just says he's black because why not? It doesn't have any influence on the impact of who Batman is. His color of his skin has absolutely no impact.
Yeah, like, hey, why does there have to be another universe? Why does it have to be a Flashpoint event that suddenly the Wayne family is black? Why can't we just say, since Batman first comic ever came out, the Waynes have been black. Just forever. Fuck it.
They were rich black people who helped their city.
Yeah.
And someone gunned him down in the middle of the alley after going to the theater, leaving young black Bruce to be raised by the family butler, who may have been Asian, black, whatever nationality he was.
Literally, no changes to the entirety of the Batman universe or anything DC Comics, except the Wayne family is black. That's it. That's the only change we're talking about. We're not making them less rich. We're not having them have to deal with any of the struggles of racism. Let's just say they were, because they were rich, they were always treated with respect.
Now, don't get me wrong. Again, this goes back to nostalgia of our youth. I get what you're saying in that aspect, but that's not nostalgia of our youth. Like hopping in, say, like in my case, my dad had a Gran Torino when I was a kid, and we would hop in that car and go to the drive-in movie theaters. And there's nostalgia in that, the songs like, Sail Away by Styx and so many songs that came out in that era, we would listen to them, and they have a lot of nostalgia for them. I love you. And there's nostalgia in the past. But does that nostalgia of your past and wanting that comfort of your past, is that going to hinder you into liking something that might change in the future that is more diverse? And that's what this whole thing is. Are we doing this for the nostalgia of our past, just for the nostalgia of our past, and because that's the way the rules are written? Or is it time to start changing things? And you said, it's going to be a slow change. But it's the same thing with Batman. Why can't Batman be black? Why can't Superman be black? Why can't Wonder Woman be Asian? Well, the reason why Wonder Woman can't be Asian is she has to be Mediterranean is because she is an Amazonian woman. They weren't from Amazon in South America. They were from the Mediterranean island. That's why she can't be, because that's where she's from. Batman is just from Gotham, some city that resembles Chicago.
Yeah.
New York.
No. Gotham is Chicago, Metropolis is New York.
Yeah. Oh.
Eventually it morphs.
But in the DC universe, they're next to each other, they're across the river from each other. It is. It's actually canon now. Gotham and Metropolis are across the river.
Yep.
Okay. And Gotham is the poor neighborhood, which makes even more sense for Batman to be black, while Metropolis is the white, rich neighborhood.
They did that with one of the other cities, too. Star City, where Green Arrow's from and all that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other big cities, I think, is literally,
Star City versus where the Flash is.
Yeah. It's not...
They're neighboring cities. They're, next to each other.
They're not super far away from each other.
But Arrow City is considered this subpar criminal city, while where the Flash is more rich.
Yeah. Center City is so much better of a city versus Star City because the distance between them is like Chicago to Joliet. If you're driving in a car, you'll be there in an hour. You can see the skyscrapers from both cities.
Well, not necessarily. You can't see
the
two tallest building in Joliet is only 6 stories tall.
Well,
but you're not
going to see
them
for the comic book.
I understand.
They both have those 2 giant towers inside. you can see that from ground level in both cities.
You didn't know that
That's
about
how
Gotham
close they-
and Metropolis?
From the
That
comics,
Gotham is the seedier, dirtier,
Yeah.
poor, labor class city with the most crime, and the Metropolis is this other city where crime lords come in and do organized crime.
I knew that, but I didn't think they were across the river from each other. Like last
They
time, when I
used to
read
be
the
at
comics,
opposite ends
In
of the country.
Batman versus Superman, the movie, they turned it in canon, and DC said that was going to be canon from now on.
Yeah.
That they are on opposite sides of a river.
like what's it called? In the comics, they used to be across the country from each other. Then they were like a few hours away from each other. No.
Yeah, no. In Superman versus Batman, there's even the talk from Batman about how Superman just went around just destroying the city that was so nice, and he could see it happening from Gotham right across the river.
Yeah.
And he didn't want Batman to come across the river and do the same thing in his city.
And just like, that's what Bruce Wayne made it to Metropolis so quickly at the beginning of that movie. They show he's already there. He drove there.
He sees
to
the
see
destruction of the statue.
Superman destroying Metropolis, fighting Zod. It wasn't like he wasn't driving across country. It was a 20-minute drive across the fucking bridge. He could see the fight happening. That's why he got in the car, drove across the bridge to go see if he could help people in his building that he could see from his other building. They're that close.
You didn't know that, huh? No, it's considered
They even
canon.
have the scene where Lex Luthor has Superman on the roof, and they're like, "Oh look!" and they just pan the camera, and you're seeing Gotham on the other side of the river. Like their building's right at the river, the waterfront. It's like, look,
And you
people
see
are
you see Wayne Tower with a big old W on it.
Okay.
Go back. But you see what I'm saying? It's like it actually makes sense with now how they've created that canon that Batman can be black. Why couldn't he be the richest black man in that neighborhood trying to make his city better?
Okay. Let me put it to you this way. I forgot his name. Okay. I'm going to tell you a really short story. There was a guy who was incredibly strong and who was known for being the greatest warrior. Okay? He was he was basically super strong. Okay? He was able to fight legions of people and take them down just himself. He was the greatest warrior that his commander had ever seen. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, they were fighting, and he was strong, but he was overwhelmed by numbers. He was captured.
Mm-hmm.
Then they put him to basically be in a coliseum and fight animals, and that was his basically what's the word? His punishment for being part of the enemy. He
Does he go then back to his homeland and start fighting?
no. He was
Like Gladiator?
no. He was
Sorry.
He was what's the word? He was fighting animals. He defeated them. He was then honored and told that what's it called? You were supposed to die here. You won't. You've honored us with your performance, as it were, technically, and you can take one of our women and go back to your country. And he said, "No, I'm going to die here." They gave him a huge festival. They honored him. He drank his full. He ate whatever the heck he wanted, and then at the end of the day, he died. He was sacrificed to their gods.
Right.
Hold on. What was he?
What was he or who was he?
What was he?
Doesn't matter.
Who was he?
Doesn't matter.
To me, it does. Now, that story is actually a legend, but also somewhat real story of one of the legends of one of my people in Mexico. And by my people, I'm talking about my Hispanic Indian bros. What? I'm talking about my Hispanic Indian roots. Okay.
No, I get that, but that story is a story of heroism that supersedes.
Now,
No,
why
it-
does that supersede, though? Okay.
Because there's been similar people that have risen up similarly in other countries. Okay, I'll give examples of people who have in literature. We have obviously in a movie form The Gladiator. Same story. In fact, there were thousands of people who were put into slaves who ran from Rome into Spain, became gladiators in Spain, only to go back to Rome to try to win their freedom, and then some of them did. So it's the same story, and it's historically backed. And you have that same kind of story in the Bible with Moses and or Joseph going into Egypt, and then Moses rising up and coming and rescuing his people. It's a universal story that surpasses all cultures. You're going to find a character like that. Example of one of those, Disney made it into a somewhat Disney princess, Mulan. Same story. And it's supposedly based on truth. So that's why. When you have those people that rise up in those type of stories, and the case of Mulan is based possibly on a true story, and yet you have in your culture a true story like that, and we have those type of stories in almost every culture and around the world. Jacques Zulu. They made a whole miniseries in the 70s about it. Because here was a man who came in, imprisoned and fought against his prisoners to become king. It's these same things. And so it's not culturally specific unless you make it about that specific character. Batman, that's not the case. That's why there's a difference between Batman. It can be any race and color you want, but Black Panther needs to be African and dark-skinned African.
Now, to me, I understand kind of what you're saying, but I disagree because to me the importance isn't just the story, it's the name. Now, the name has importance. I honestly forgot the name of the character because I haven't read it since.
But that's a specific... No. I'm hearing you. That's that specific story.
You're not
that's
letting
like...
me talk, though.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
The character is important, okay? Like, you have freaking Beowulf, okay? He was white. He was, I think he was a Briton. Briton. Briton.
No.
No? What was he? Go ahead.
Beowulf was Nordic.
Nordic, okay. But it's not just his heroic tale, it's his name, okay? It's the name. To me, in that same vein, even if you can transplant a character to different race, it's not fair to the character, it's not fair to the name. Okay, I know it might be a little outlandish, or maybe I'm a little crazy for thinking of that. That's why
I know what you're getting at. I totally do.
No.
Because if I was going to sit there and say it, like, I'm going to tell the story of Beowulf, then yeah, I'm going to put Beowulf in that setting, because that's the setting it comes from. Just like with the Mexican hero you're talking about. Batman doesn't necessarily is not a specific person with historical reference. His wealth has nothing to do with his skin color. His wanting to rid his city of crime has nothing to do with his skin color.
And that we agree.
That's why Batman could be black.
So you agree that all the aspects of what makes Bruce Wayne, and what makes Batman, have no bearing on his skin color.
Yes.
But you don't agree that it would be the exact same character if he was any other race but white.
And it would still be the same
never
universe.
written him as white, he'd not be any less of a character.
So it would be like this.
What we're saying is, at no point do you change any part of the history of the character. The character of Bruce Wayne, the whole Wayne family, and the character of Batman. None of it changes. Everything the exact same. But never write him as a white man. Never write them as a white family. Any other goddamn race. What changes? Not a goddamn thing except for the skin color when they shade it in.
The name, though.
It's Bruce Wayne. It's a generic fucking name. Batman. He's Batman. He's a man that dresses like a bat.
It's the difference between telling the story of, say, what would be good comparable stories? Say, telling the story of the Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what the skin color is.
Yeah, Ichabod Crane.
Wait. Ichabod Crane. But now compare that to Candyman, which is an urban legend from Chicago, and the Taylor Project home is about a black man who died and comes back to haunt people. That's the descriptor.
See, Candyman, very specific. The fact that he's black is tied to the character. You cannot have a white Candyman because he wasn't white.
Well, they want that. I'm joking.
See, you implant jokes when we're having serious discussion. That's the bad thing.
No, that's not fair. That's not fair. He's trying to make light of the things, and I think Christina is too high to pay attention because she hasn't spoken up a bunch of
all. With you on that one.
I was going to say, you've made plenty of jokes.
Come here.
I was messing with you on that one. But,
I know, this is too serious for you, isn't it? And it's too serious for you, isn't it?
It's not bad.
I
don't.
And you're tired.
Projects.
I
Who
know I
comes
don't
back
more.
to murder people on a project. That's a specific story of a specific person with a specific race. Batman is in a specific race.
Okay,
Batman is only white because the original creator made him white. Because in that era, creating someone who was African American as a hero was so against culture because people during that time were still fighting for the right to vote who were African American. Yeah. They were still being lynched. Like, what year was Emmett Till lynched?
I would say early 1930s.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So
that was around the time.
So right about the time that Batman comes, here is Emmett Till being still lynched in Louisiana. I mean, you can't.
1941. So that's not that long.
No, 1955. He died in 1955.
So 1955. We were still lynching people, and Batman precedes that.
Yeah. I think the first Batman is 1938.
We still lived in a culture where black people were considered inferior people. They would never have been drawn as heroes. That's why, like, when heroes came along, like the Black Panther in the Phantom, and it was such a strange thing when the Phantom was finally revealed as white because people were thinking that maybe he was black. Because for years they didn't even know who the Phantom was. He could have been any race, and it was that huge debate. And then, of course, they revealed he was white. Because that's what it was. The whole idea of the Phantom was to create this ambiguity as to what the race was and who he could be. But they turned him still white. Batman's white because he was created in a time where having anything but white heroes did not happen. Like, example, Wonder Woman. Amazonian from the Mediterranean. He wanted to draw her that way. And they told her she couldn't. He has to Americanize her.
So he drew her like her dominatrix wife.
As a fuck you to him. His dominatrix wife and his assistant.
Yep.
That's why Batman is black or white. It's not because of anything else other than the fact that the creator created him white because that's what heroes were. They were all white. Knowing that, and then now hearing that, if that original writer was black and made Batman black, would it make a difference to you?
Yes. Hear me out, okay? I understand where it came from. I understand the racial bias that there was. I understand that the transposition of Batman to any other race would still work in the context of the U.S., no matter the time period, because comics and the like.
But for you, it still has to be a different timeline.
Define timeline, because now I'm talking about
Multi-universe.
yes, or some sort of cataclysmic event like Crisis or Flashpoint or
Right.
whatever in order to change.
Yeah, those were created because for the same reason.
No, hear me
It was
out.
a way to explain how these people could be different races without upsetting the white culture.
Hear me out. Hold on. I have another thing. Let me put it this way. What's his name? When they killed Superman, okay, there were 5 different Supermen. There was the robot Superman. There was Steel. There was Kid
Steel,
Superboy,
Kid Superman.
and
There was 5 different universes of Superman that were out at the time.
No. There were 5. Well, yes. Whatever. Okay. One universe, 5 different comics. Point is, what's it called? One of those was black.
And the only one everyone outright rejected was the black one.
Everybody hated Cyborg Superman. What are you
They
talking about?
hated them, but they let them finish the arc.
The black one
They
never
just
was
stopped
finished.
writing the Steel comic.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, there's like, we cannot accept Black Superman. No.
Yeah.
Now we're down to 4. Why did he just disappear?
I didn't know that. Hold on. Hear me out. I didn't know that. I used to watch cartoons about John Henry Irons. They had them.
Even in the new movie. This is made, 2018, 2019. Reign of the Superman.
Yes.
Steel just fucking disappears halfway through the movie.
No, he was.
Where did the black guy go?
They beat him to a pulp.
Right. But all the others, they check in with at the end of the movie. Like, this is what happened to this character. This is what happened to this character. This is where their character went. So they could possibly get spin off inside.
Think about this. They
beat
killed
the hell out of
off the
Steel
black
and
one.
he stopped.
The thing is like this is kind of like the discussion. It's become kind of a racism discussion, and just like in general. But the truth is this is like the easiest bias that people have in racism, and that idea that for you that it. I'm not saying that you're racist, but the idea that for you that you can only accept Batman as black is if it was a different universe is that bias. It's for you, it's again your youthful nostalgia, but for the rest of us, that's a racial bias because there's no reason why. And
the good example for that is with the movies that they're making now. When people complain when they decide to change the race of a character, just to change the race of a character. Oh, we want more representation movie. This character is going to be played by a black actor. This character is going to be played by a Latino character.
Ariel's going to be black.
And they're not changing anything about the character except the race of the character, what they're portraying most of the time. And what does everyone shit on about that movie? Why did you have to change the race just to change the race?
I think I found the difference. Hear me out. I actually think I just found the difference. Because I don't mind them changing the Little Mermaid or other characters like that. Hear me out. It's because they're superheroes, and it's because they're comics. Personally speaking, it's not about the name. I'm sorry, I was mistaken.
Right.
It's about the hero.
The hero can't be anything but white.
No,
that's what we're
in. Hear me out. Okay. You guys just said that it is a racial bias. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know. I need to
examine.
explore myself.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. Now.
And just so you know, I'm not like trying to be like purposely calling out. I'm not calling anybody racist here or anything like that. It's just that like I have racial biases like this too that I have to constantly fight. That I know that I have. It's not to say that I'm racist. There's a difference between racist and racial bias.
Okay. Like I said, I need to examine that, but I think that if I don't, let me put it this way: I don't care if the Little Mermaid is Japanese, white, black.
Why?
I'm getting to that. Hold on.
No, just answer that one. Why?
No, that's why. I'm getting to that.
Okay.
That's literally my next point. I don't care about that. And I think the reason why is because she's not a superhero. And hear me out. Okay? I have certain affinities towards, what are they called? Heroic myth, legend, and stuff like that. This is going to sound so stupid. If you laugh, that's fine. I consider Superman, Batman, all of the superheroes, okay, up there with Kalis, Jesus, Buddha, okay, Hercules, or Thor.
They're inspirational characters.
No, hold on. Yes, they're inspirational, but hear me out. It's more than that, okay? I'm not religious. I'm spiritual, okay? And in that same vein, I've already come to know my hero, as it were, as, okay, they're a white guy, fine, okay? Or the hero I was talking about before, they're Mexican, they were Mexica, okay? Mm-hmm. Or, what's his name?
I get what you're saying. I get you.
So,
I get where you going.
Changing those matters to me. When it comes to changing Ponyo or what's his name? Okay, any other character like that, like Ariel, like you were saying, that doesn't matter to me. To me, that can change race-wise, but when it comes to something I basically hold holy, that can't change.
Okay, it's interesting that you brought up Jesus.
Ooh. Let me take this one.
No.
Hold on.
No.
I know. Jesus is a white guy because of Borgia Pope, anti-Pope, and all that bullshit. Hear me out, okay? Jesus, for me, I never met him.
Yes, but...
Hear me out. Hold on.
Right.
I never met him, okay? I don't know what the guy looked like. Personally, I think he was a black dude because I know a couple of cousins who are Israeli. My cousins, I mean. Now, they look either really dark or they look... kind of orangish brown, okay?
Mediterranean.
So, yeah. So, my point is that that's who I see, that's who I can think of, scientifically speaking, but to me, Jesus has no race. Now, because, and this is legit, I went to a lot of different churches as a kid. I've seen Asian Jesus, I've seen white Jesus, I've seen black Jesus, I've seen Hispanic Jesus. I've seen Mediterranean Jesus. They look a lot alike. They're cousins. No, I'm joking. But the point is, for Jesus, for some reason, is a metamorphic figure. But, like, Thor is Nordic. Batman is white. That's what I'm getting.
You have that because they're your heroes, and you got that picture of them always. The challenge here is, for you, in this discussion, to take a step back, and could Batman be as equal of a hero for you if he was a different scale and color?
He would be.
And it doesn't.
I grew up as he was white.
Right, but the thing is he could be, and that's where it is. And so really, it's your nostalgia of that. That's still your nostalgia, and that's why your preference is there. It's nostalgia. And to sit there, and while we're realizing that for you, and we understand that that's where that's coming from. For other people in this country, that's not. They are so much that it's got to be white because they are racist. And because he was drawn white by a white man, and black people are inferior, and they can't have black heroes.
I have a question, though.
The question becomes...
How do we change people, though, by changing that? If someone's already racist and they see that, aren't they gonna put their heels in the dirt even more?
The fight is not necessarily with the people that are so set in their ways they're gonna drop their heels. It's opening the door for the possibility of other races for those that come up that they're raising, who will eventually make decisions for themselves.
Like, basically, teach the young good, let the old people die. They'll go away anyways.
I think,
Kind of. It's the truth, though. I mean,
that is the truth.
The truth is that, like, if you look at our society, people dig their hit because that's what they're taught. Yes, we're going to get people who are racist who are going to teach their children to be racist. But some of those kids who were raised by racists are going to become not racist. Some of those people that we raised not to be racist will become racist. The truth is that up until recently, that trajectory was more people being raised non-racist and would fight racism did not. And we were heading into this more accepting diverse society, and then someone came around and ruined it.
yeah.
And he made it okay to be that way again as a matter of political bias.
Okay, now, since we're saying it...
The orange in the room.
Hold on. No, hold on. All right, we're tiptoeing around it, but his name was Ronald Reagan or his name was Donald Trump? Which one are we talking about?
Either one, because... either
pretty
way, because it doesn't matter which way you look at it, because both of them were the elephants in the room.
Yes.
I was just saying. I wanted to figure it out.
But it hasn't been just Reagan or Trump. But Trump really hit it hard. And there's been problems with other things in the past. We know that Biden had problems in the past. We know Harris had problems in the past. We know Clinton's had problems in the past. But the thing is these people actually try, and they had their problems in the past, and then they try to correct what they made the mistake on. The difference with Trump is, here was his problem, and he put an exclamation point on it, is that I'm not going to change it. It's my right to be this way, and I'm going to fight for this, and everybody else should, and even if it means violence.
Yeah, like, we can't blame Trump for
all the
no,
but
we can say
he made
was
people
the loudest
okay
voice
coming out of
that
the
made more
closet.
people see it as okay.
Not in the gay way, but in the racist way. Like, come out of the hood. I'm making sense, right?
I think you broke Jorge for a second there.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm trying not to laugh too hard because I don't want to spike them.
No, but the thing is it is laughable because it's laughable to us because as a society, we have come so far from where we were and how we treated people in our country, and we're at this point where an anime where I'm looking at nothing but what looks like American people in a Japanese city trying to explain Japanese culture and life, and I'm like, why does it have to be that way? And we're going into this, it's just... It's one thing to be anti-racist or anti-racial bias or and it's another thing to fight actively against it. Yeah. You can sit there and say I'm not racist and then watch it happen, or I'm not racially biased but watch it happen because it's out of your control, right? But what would happen? What would have happened if in George Floyd, those 15, 20 people who were watching it happen all said, fuck this, we're going to all tackle the cops and not let them get to their guns and save this guy's life?
We'd have 15 people in jail for helping and abetting a criminal.
But we would also have George Floyd still alive.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He was already handcuffed on the ground at that point. So they wanted to have stopped the cops from arresting him. Nobody was arguing about him being arrested. It was the pinning him by his neck on the ground.
And killing him
over in that group, especially like the woman who was the paramedic who came up, and she specifically told the cop, he's suffocating, you have to let him up.
And let me check his...
She had just pushed the cop so he was falling off of him. Because from a knee, I don't know if you've ever kneeled on the ground and put your knee down on something uneven. It's pretty fucking easy to fall sideways.
Would she have ended up in jail? Yeah. Would she have been released? I can guarantee she would have been released. because her action against that officer was within her rights to save a life.
Because she was a paramedic.
And he denied her access.
No, she was on duty at the time, but still, she's a paramedic. She has an obligation to help if she can.
It's one thing to sit there and stand and yell racism, racism, racism. It's another thing to say, I'm not going to let this happen. Which is why, like, in those protests after George Floyd, I was so proud of so many people. Because you would see the line of black people, and then as the police came up, you would see white people step in front of them. Are we willing to put our own freedoms aside to save someone else so they can have the freedoms we expect for ourselves? That's where the difference in all this comes in. This is why, like, things like are so important, like as to maybe have a black Superman or a black Batman or a black Spider-Man are so important. And it shouldn't be about this nostalgia of the past. Nostalgia of the past is what perpetuates white supremacist Confederate lifestyle. Because we let it continue to happen. We have to actively stop it. We have to be proactive in stopping it. I tell this story because it's true. A few years ago, I was a cab driver. I was in a cab. It was a marked cab. I had gotten an order to pick someone up at the Heinz VA. I was coming eastbound on Roosevelt, and so I had to make a right turn into the Heinz VA at 5th Avenue. As I'm approaching up, and it's about 8:30 at night, but it's still fairly visible, but lights are starting to come on. I see a 8 to 10-year-old boy, maybe 12 at most. He was young. There's 2 police officers blocking the turn in to go into Heinz VA, so I can't get all the way in. I have to stop. There's 3 officers. 1 in a white shirt, which means he was a lieutenant, a supervisor, and 2 others. And I went to roll down my window to, hey, ask the officer if he can move his, I know, they're busy and stuff, but can you direct me so I can back up and go around and go in through the cross streetway? In the process of rolling down my window, I hear this cat yell out, I don't want to do this, I'm not comfortable, please don't make me do this. And I hear the lieutenant say, do it now, or you're going to be in more trouble. The next thing the kid does, on the corner of a busy street thoroughfare at a light, with lights all around coming on, drop his trousers. So the officers could make sure he didn't have a weapon. My next question was, where's the parents or the lawyer for this child? And he goes, what are you talking about? You're strip searching a child without a parent or a legal guardian or lawyer. Stop now. And they're like, no. I said, yes, you're going to stop now or I'm going to report all 3 of you. Now the lieutenant comes up to me and starts screaming at me that I'm interfering with their job, telling me that this kid is a runaway and their mom is looking for them and they have autism and that's why they're a risk to themselves. I said, this kid has autism? That's more to the point not to strip search them in the middle of the street where everybody can see. You take that kid into custody, you put him in your car, and you bring him to the office. You wait until their parent comes there or a lawyer comes there to protect them. And until you put that kid in the car, I'm not going anywhere and I'm not shutting up. He threatened me if I didn't leave, I would be arrested. I said, I'm not going anywhere. He put the kid in the car without any further incident. And then came and threatened to arrest me again if I didn't leave. At that point, I left. I went and picked up my customer, dropped him off, and the next thing I did was call their office and say, what the hell? Their supervisor, the ZES supervisor that was there, said, what? And I went, yeah. And he's like, can you send that to me as an email as a formal complaint? And I did. A week later, I got a phone call saying that the AI looked in it. Those officers had been gotten written up and they had disciplinary action put against them. He asked what we could do in the future. I said, well, if it's a kid with autism, then you need to have training for those officers how to deal with kids with autism. so they're not traumatizing that kid and making the situation worse. That's for starters. Secondly, they should be all arrested for indecent exposure of a minor in public. A sex crime. I said it's probably not going to happen, but it needs to be on the record that if they do it again, they will be charged accordingly. That's the difference. That's the difference of sitting there saying, you know what, it's just another black kid, and being, I'm against racism, but I'm not going to do anything, and looking at something that you know is wrong, and possibly racist or whatever, and stepping in and doing something about it. I risked myself that night, knowing that that officer could have pulled me out of my car and arrested me. But I made sure that that person was taken care of properly and had their rights upheld. It's the same thing with George Floyd. It's the same thing with Garner in New York selling cigarettes. It's the same thing as any of these officers. There was one that I showed Christina a couple weeks ago where it was a girl. I forget what the situation is, but the officer ended up on top of her, laying chest to chest with his legs underneath her knees, holding her down with her hands above her wrists. Now, the story was, is supposedly someone reported this girl as to running in traffic trying to kill herself. And when the officer came up, she was walking down the street without any shoes. And he's trying to question her and stopping her and all this other stuff. And because she didn't stop, because all she said is, I just want to go home. I don't want to go home. I'm going home. He decided it was in his best interest and her best interest to take her, throw her down on the ground, and get on top of her chest to chest, pelvis to pelvis, legs wrapped underneath her knees, and hands above her wrist. And then when his backup came, his backup sat there and watched the whole thing and kept watching until another person arrived. Now, it wasn't until they got her up and started walking away that someone tried to interfere with that. But that officer shouldn't have been in that spot. He shouldn't have been restraining her that way anyway, especially in a crisis if she is suicidal. What he should have done is say, hey, look, are you in trouble? Let me give you a ride home. Let me get you home safely, and then we'll talk to you at home. He didn't care. All he cared about is that she didn't listen to him, and because she didn't listen to him, he was going to arrest her and make her life even more traumatic, even if she was suicidal. That's the difference. Someone has to stop those things and protect those people's rights as much as I would like them to protect mine. And until we do that as a society and forget this skin color BS or stereotypes that we have of each other, nothing is ever going to change. We have to do that. We can't convince anybody else. But what we can do is in film and things like that, start portraying things like that as being glorious heroes of life who treat people with dignity and respect and class, like these two characters were in Ride Your Wave. Because here was the story of a girl, when she was a girl, saw someone in trouble, didn't think about it, went and saved them. Because of what she did, he wanted to become someone that helped people. And in the process of trying to help someone, he died. But it inspired her to go and do more. And other people were inspired because of his life to do more. Only to come out, she found out that was he did more because she saved his life. That's the story, and it doesn't matter what the skin color is. It should, but why is it always white? Why is it always the white savior? Why is it always the pale-skinned savior? That's my soapbox.
That's how media does things.
Yeah.
Eventually, it will change.
We have to ask for it to change. We have to make it change.
It's slow.
And we can't get upset when they do make the
but it needs
change.
to speed up.
Yeah.
And we can't get upset when they do make that change.
Yeah.
Or when someone suggests that Batman could be black. Because he could still be that same hero you were. He's just now happens to be black.
Oh,
And isn't that even more? Or better yet, let's make him Mexicano.
No.
Like,
no, I've met Mexican superheroes. No, I'm kidding.
but
No.
but you see what I'm saying? Like, what if he was of not like Mexico as today, but like as in like Mexico descent, like bloodline from before the conquistadors, and he's that kind of Mexican, a Mexicano.
Does this mean, theoretically, we can have the thing that the Fox News was trying to threaten us with taco trucks on every corner then? Because I'm still waiting for my taco truck.
Aren't there kind of taco trucks on every corner in some areas already?
No, not enough.
Oh, not enough. Okay.
I'm a pothead, dude. Like, what the hell?
I love you.
I wanna, and I live on a corner. I could just go right outside and tacos. It would be magic.
As long as the tacos have onion and cilantro only. Because if they have freaking...
No cilantro.
Yes, cilantro. If they have tomato,
Cilantro tastes like soap to her.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
She's got that gene.
It's a pain in the ass, I know.
I don't know what I'm all for it. Let's have a taco truck on one corner.
Yeah.
Then or a taco stand on one corner. On the other corner we have a pierogi stand. On the other corner we have egg rolls and what is fried rice. And then on another corner we have wiener schnitzel.
Spring rolls,
No,
sweetie.
no.
If you're gonna
Or
go,
jerk chicken.
if you're gonna go Chinese, it's gotta be spring rolls.
But you get my point.
Yeah.
No.
I just want a bunch of food right outside my door where I could just walk out there and be like, food.
No. It's too diverse. All we need in this world is we come to a regular cross intersection, 4 streets together. I want a Starbucks, a taco truck, a Starbucks, a taco truck.
Exactly.
Not enough diversity.
what is wrong with you, you evil basic
I
white bitch?
love you.
No.
Oh,
You make the most sense.
Help. Also, I don't help.
There. Okay.
I'll be back.
But yeah, as like someone who partakes in the weeds, I would greatly appreciate. Oh, and guess what? You know what helps weed more? Caffeine. You want to pair caffeine and weed together to get it to activate even more. So having a Starbucks right next to a taco truck would be my heaven.
You're so not gonna get monetized?
God damn. We don't need monetization.
Yeah. But just picture it, you know?
Oh,
You're just sitting there doing some gummies, eating some brownies, and look, tacos.
Exactly. I love it. Greatest thing ever.
Uh-huh.
God dang it, okay.
Hell, I'm pissed that we didn't get that.
So,
I'm like, where are my promised taco trucks?
now do you see why we say there's no point? We just completely stopped talking about what we were here to talk about. Back to the anime.
Okay.
Which...
Honestly, it was kind of hard with the inflatable porpoise
Yeah,
because it's condom-y.
yes.
And when it had the water out of it, it looked like a used one.
It very much looked like a condom, like one of those big body condoms blowing up
Exactly.
when they first showed it over here. And then, yeah, when it was empty and she was just laying, crying in her room, it looked like she was laying on top of a giant used condom.
Exactly.
But
That was...
what I want to get is, like, dude was a firefighter. Is it emasculating at all when your girlfriend can pick up a car
What?
and you can barely carry your own body weight?
Yeah.
That was almost a big trouble.
You got this. But yeah, like,
Yeah.
we're back to the anime.
There's a regular metal folding chair
Behind you.
that might be a little easier.
Yeah.
I brought that down because I thought it might be a little bit more comfy, but
That's okay. My fat ass, I get it.
Hey, my fat ass.
not every chair works perfectly for everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have a question though. Can I get one of those cherry Pepsis?
Oh, yeah.
I am dying of thirst.
But
So
yeah.
sorry for the long tangent on the race thing. It's just like
That's okay.
Yeah.
to me, it's been like one of my big things that like I've been thinking about for the last
Also,
for the last few years since that happened.
Yes.
You know, of that incident with that officer. And I just want more people to do the same thing. Like, actually step in when they see that wrong stuff and make a change, do something different.
If it's the theme of the show, there's no real point to what we're talking about. Our point was to talk about a movie that we just watched.
Yeah.
And we went off on, I don't know, Jorge, how long have we been recording? Hour and a half, 2 hours on cultural appropriation and racism?
yeah.
So, I have a question for this. About this.
2.5 hours.
I have a question about the movie. I always, again, going back to the movie being Ride Your Wave.
Yeah.
Why is it... I don't know.
I did like though that it wasn't very. It had like a little bit of fan servicey stuff, but it wasn't like blatant in your face fan service. So that was a bit of a.
The most you can say
Slight-
for fan service is the fact that
She
the
was-
main female character is in a bikini for most of the movie. But
Yeah.
it's not, oh, she's suddenly weirdly in a bikini. Like, hey, beach episode.
Well, you said it's not fan service. What did you say it was?
It's just her character wearing clothes.
Fan service in
Yeah.
terms of anime is anytime there's a gratuitous now use show of panties or bikini or cleavage. Like, there's no reason to show it, but they show it.
You know in Food Wars where he
I
turns
know.
around and the butt goes bing, 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 bing,
Yeah.
and the boobs go poo, 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 poo,
So,
poo, poo. That's fan service.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
So, like I said, it's yeah. So it's fan servicey to a degree because she's in a bikini most of the time, but they do show her and Minato, in intimate situations, and they intentionally zoom the camera in so they're not showing her. And I actually like that. They don't,
Yeah, that was.
They could have shown the fact that, like, when they were kissing under the blanket, that she was completely topless. They did. The bath scene, when she summons his ghost while she's in the bathtub, they didn't linger on the fact that she was naked. She jumped out, covered herself, and then camera angle wasn't showing her.
I almost get the feeling like this was meant for, like, a certain age group under, say, 16.
This is a more family movie, and it's one of those summer break, summer romance movies. It's actually a lot of them, and it's meant to tug at your heartstrings, but it might be a little because I watched most of the movies I watched like this that kind of tug at your heartstrings and had those big feels moments. They just rip your fucking heart out, like I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, when the girl finally agrees to go on a date with him, and she gets stabbed to death on the way to the date.
Yeah, I heard about some of that stuff.
It's like,
I did get a feeling of Grease, the musical Grease, though, with this.
yes, because they had their summer love song.
There's some more romance, but it's also the idea, like, where Grease, the fan theory of Grease and the directors of the original movie actually said that this was the case.
Yeah.
That Danny Zuko is dead.
Yeah, he's the ghost.
He's the ghost in the whole entire movie. And she's in a coma remembering all this stuff, not quite dead, fantasizing what their life could have been.
Yeah.
And then when they pull the plug, her family pulls the plug and she dies, that's when they rise up in the car at the end of the movie because they're going to heaven.
Never heard that. You
Well,
just
that's
ruined
why
that
the,
movie for me. God damn.
Well, it's like the
You
opening.
know-
But that's the movie. That's not the musical, that's the movie.
When you think of how the song begins, kind of slow, a little bit sad for the summer lovin', it's a slow, sad song. For like the first part of the first few bars, it's a slow song.
And not to
then
mention
it
there's the line,
goes into that pop
met a girl,
quick.
she nearly drowned.
Yeah.
And he saved her life.
He
He
died
saved
saving
her life.
And that poppy bit, why it speeds up all of a sudden, that's all Tacoma. She's only imagining life being happy from that point, because up to that point, it was kind of sad. And as you think of from watching the movie seems a lot more serious up until the start of the Summer Loving song. And then right when the music kicks up and it starts being that poppy, just really fun, high energy song, the movie becomes a comedy.
Dude, Beauty School Dropout, Rizzo getting pregnant. I mean,
all after Summer Loving.
Yes, no, but that's serious topics. I'm like,
no, they're serious topics, but it's her dream of what life would have been like in American schools.
Yeah.
Because she's heard the stories about girls in school getting pregnant by going to the movie theaters. Girls who don't go to school become beauty salon workers or work in restaurants. It's all stereotypical stuff that she's heard about America and going to America, which is where she was supposed to go, or who knows, it's just the stories that she heard. He was there visiting her in Australia,
And then,
talking about America.
And that's actually part of what the second movie, Grease 2, is, because the other character is Sandy's cousin. He heard her stories of what she wanted to do when she went to America, but she never got the chance to go to America. So his ideal summer in America is what she thought America was going to be like. So the first person he befriends is the beauty school dropout, Dinky. Why is she the only character still around? She's dead too. She's a guardian angel.
back to the movie.
So I get this kind of feel of this. That's why I get the feel of this, because it's just how the nature of he dies and is always around her until the end, and that whole trope.
Yeah, and she told her that your wish comes true is you can catch a good big wave right after Christmas, right after he professed his love and want to be with her forever. And they showed him. He pulled off that great trick that I think
the reverse
air. Yeah, which is awesome. But then when she finally sees his text message later on, she can finally unlock his phone, and it's, I pulled off. I'm going to try to pull off this reverse air because I think it's going to be awesome. But if my dreams really do come true by catching a wave, it's going to prove that I can be with you forever. And one of the first things she said, like, why did you go surfing alone? She goes, well, to make my wish come true, to be with you.
Okay. Also, why is it that, like, in the translation, I don't understand Japanese, but I get the sense watching this movie that was deeper than what we heard in the dub. Why is it that, and again, from my experiences from some things, sometimes it feels like they dumb it down for Americans.
Sometimes they do.
Or is it just because they just go with the simplest translation?
Sometimes it's simplest translation. The company that did this is one of the better ones, who does the better direction of, let's clean up the English, let's make this a proper English sentence. So sometimes it just feels like it's dumbed down because there's more honorifics and stuff in Japanese for how they would have said it. So when you kind of simplify it to how a English speaker would actually say that sentence.
Plus polytiming with the lips and stuff.
Sometimes it just sounds dumb.
Like, you are my girlfriend. So if I call you Chan, it would be like, I love you, you're so cute.
But you would have a couple of other syllables in it.
Yeah, but then I would call you that. I would be like Katya-chan. But in the English one, it would be Katya. They would take off that.
Yeah, I get that. It's just like... Again, noob.
Yeah.
I know.
No, what I'm observing and what I'm feeling and how I feel about
and
this one. Because I'm,
and that makes
in all honesty, great story. Just kind of disappointed. I was expecting... I think I was expecting more like the longs of Spirit Away and
and
Howl's Moving Castle.
Like, I wasn't sure if this one was going to be one of those really feels movies. I've never seen this. I've barely watched the trailer. It's literally one of those. I saw it at an anime convention. I'm like, that looks interesting. So I just bought it.
No, so like that. Like I'm feeling like I was expecting either that or something more like Dragon Ball Z. I
Yeah.
don't.
No.
I can't wait.
Powerball.
Wait. The audience has to understand what I just got a look of. I just got like daggers through eyeballs from Jorge. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I get where you're coming from.
Again, word is I'm a noob.
Yeah. So
I'm a
get where you're coming
noob.
from.
Yep.
Because your experience with anime is either what Christina has shown you is either really sappy, tear your heart out, feel stuff from Miyazaki, or
Well, no, like Spirited Away and those, I saw those years ago, like way before I met Christina. But it's been years since I've seen anything really animated since then.
Yeah.
You know? So
But-
this, again, I'm coming out new
So
with
you
this
have,
stuff.
but still, you have that experience with anime. So you used to do when you see a feature-length movie, it's going to be heavy drama. It's going to be deep.
More action-y, less
Or-
slice of life.
With the series,
So you
if
say
you're
the
watching the
opposite.
series, you're used to that. It's going to be quick-paced. It's going to be kind of stupid. It's going to be fun, but it's not serious. And I think this is one of those that falls in between. It's meant to be serious, but it's also meant to be funny, and it's probably funnier in the translation.
I know what it is. It reminds me of the difference between watching a good dramatic movie about teen life in the 80s compared to the really stupid sitcoms like Different Strokes. And then they weren't stupid. It's just silliness that would happen.
Watching something,
And then watching the Saturday afternoon dramatic special of the 70s and 80s.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I get it. I mean, it's because people have different strokes for different folks. You know, everyone follows the beat of their own drum.
Exactly.
do they have their ups and they have their downs?
Exactly. No, one thing I thought was really weird about this was that they had, what do you call it? Throughout this movie, I thought maybe she was like so like deep in grief that she was hallucinating him. And then at the end of the movie, no, everybody else sees him controlling water too. I'm like, okay, so she's not crazy.
Sorry for the phone.
My question.
But your little comment before that about different strokes for different folks just reminded me of something. We'll play it in a second here.
My question. So, technically, he's giving her superpowers.
Kind of, yeah.
Why can't she then be a magic girl with spirit water power boyfriend?
Because it didn't have the
And
budget to
save
animate a transformation sequence?
And save the world. But she doesn't have to transform in it or anything.
It
She
was
just has to do her like little song to call him.
Well, obviously if he turns into steam, he gets drifted into heaven, so
yeah. That was
she
Well-
can't go around putting out fires.
Well, not necessarily, because steam condenses into clouds and then you
Yeah,
rain back down on her.
The first fire she put out, he almost gets sucked into heaven until she runs home to start singing to their her love pillow.
God damn it.
Okay, there's
by
no
the
other way to describe it. There's a love
By the
pillow.
way, you said different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
We don't own the rights to the song. This is from Sly and the Family Stone.
Sweetie.
What?
You can only play 30 seconds of
Yeah,
that.
copyrights.
There we go.
Oh.
Stop! Okay. We'll edit part of that out.
Oh no, it stays in. All of it stays in. Okay, we're gonna go 5 hours on this, man. I don't fucking care.
Sorry.
Different
strokes for different folks.
Um,
It's stuck in my head now, thank you.
You're welcome.
What earworm can I give you?
You gave me plenty earlier.
I did?
I haven't been dressed down like that since I was 5.
Yeah, sweetie.
I'm sorry.
What? What?
I made him feel bad, and I don't want to make him feel bad.
Oh, never feel bad about making Jorge feel bad. I don't.
Motherfucker, you apologize. Don't even.
Yeah.
I
apologize.
I'm
for
not
making
trying
you
again.
cry.
I'm not trying to make you feel bad. It's just like, to me, this just was a passionate thing that, like, I feel we have to change that whole perception of who our heroes can and can't be.
I want
I'm
to keep
done.
Shiva blue skinned. Okay, I want to keep. I'm joking. No, but
Oh, scroll down to the cast list here.
I want to keep
I'm trying to remember.
Harley
character
Quinn
names.
and Poison Ivy as lovers and just have that canon in my head all the time, too.
Yeah, okay.
Is that okay?
Yep. Very okay.
I'm not going to tell you what to do. This is my headcanon.
I just asked, is that okay? I understand it's your headcanon. I'm just...
Wait, are you talking? Do you mean is that okay, like YouTube, or what do you mean?
Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy as lovers?
Yeah.
That's my headcanon space sometimes.
That's real.
That is real, though.
That's in the comics.
I
yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah, that's in the
I know.
comics.
I'm trying to
And the
make
new show, the
lights.
Harley Quinn show. I love that show.
And just keep that image of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy kissing and screwing and whatever in our heads. This is a fun thing.
I'm surprised Christina doesn't like it more, because technically that's hentai, because Ivy can control vines.
Yeah.
Tentacles.
She's very clearly the tentacle. That's why I think. That's why I'm confused.
Are we going to
though.
start now talking about tentacle
Technically,
porn?
yes.
Who? Yeah, who?
Let's look up tentacle porn.
I don't quite.
Oh no! Oh no!
But see, this is why I think Poison Ivy would be the Dom. Because she has access to instant ropes.
I would agree, except in the Harley Quinn show, she was with, what's his name, Kite Man. And for the most part, she was the Dom, but he did have a couple of instances of making it interesting. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no.
It was called Kite Man.
Kite Man.
What was his power?
He can fly a kite.
He can...
So the opposite of Charlie Brown.
Yes.
Yes.
I made Jorge laugh. Yay!
So, Kite Man has the greatest, dumbest special power ever. He can strap himself to a man-sized kite and fly fucking anywhere. That's it. That's his power. Without his kite, he can't do shit.
His backstory is actually really sad, too.
His backstory is ungodly sad.
There's been a few superheroes where, like, that's been the case, hasn't it?
No, Kite Man's a bad guy.
Kite Man's a villain.
A super villain, bad guy, whatever. Where their power is so unique to one specific item. Without that item, they'd be crap.
Yeah, there are some from the Oddball Rogues galleries who are kind of fucking weird and kind of fucking sad. But, like, Kite Man is pathetically sad, but you want to pay attention to him because it's so sad. Like, you feel for him.
Didn't they make him like an arch bad guy in like one comic? It was like a really good storyline.
They did. They went super fucking dark, and like he was the one of the best supervillains ever. And like, what makes him so awesome?
Is he really that super villain? If someone like Charlie Brown or say Lucy from Peanuts can totally disrupt his ability.
Apparently, like,
Yes.
there's literally one comic where he literally beats all the supervillains because he doesn't have powers, so there's nothing any of them can do against him, except for Batman. Everyone else is trying to figure out, well, we have powers, we'll use our powers against him. He's a normal guy, you'll fucking kill him. Oh, okay, we should hold back. And he beats the fuck out of them with his man-sized kite. That's his power. That's it. He has a giant kite. He uses it as a shield. He beats people with it. He can fly anywhere as long as he has it.
So this kite is
And a breeze.
made of metal?
No, wooden paper.
Yeah.
It's a kite. It's just a kite.
Well, it depends on the version. He did have one made of like some sort of like.
Yeah, there was.
How do you beat someone with a... Would that be like me trying to hurt you with a moth by going poop, 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 poop?
Yes. Yes, it would.
That would just be annoying.
And yet somehow he beat.
It's like
most
you
of
being
the
on a
supervillains.
hand glider and swooping in and just kicking everybody in the head. And then they're standing around taking it because they don't want to do damage to you.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those. Everybody felt so bad for him, they didn't want to hurt him. They're like, "Oh, it's so cute. He's actually trying. He's gonna kick the shit out of you, but just kicking you all day long."
Like it sounds ridiculous, but the comic is actually really good.
Well, like the original Captain Boomerang, before they supercharged his boomerang, he was dumb, but he beat the fuck out of people sometimes.
Hey, Ma.
Half-assed is back onto topic with the anime we were watching. The character Yoko, Minato's younger sister, she could be one of those characters that in the Japanese, that kind of bitchiness and anti-socialness of her probably carries better.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of like a wannabe Sundari, but more realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
Because
is this the show who played her in English?
Let me see.
Try the all cast. Yoko.
Sorry about that, guys.
Okay. Oh, there.
For those not online, I said Mom, and that's because my mom called and she's in a nursing home. So
Yeah, that happens. Some calls are important. I would just say that I think the character Yoko, Minato's little sister, like, I think probably in the Japanese, her voice probably would have, the anti-socialness, the kind of bitchiness, probably would have carried more. Something like that seems to not translate as well, or sometimes American voice actresses have a hard time portraying that as a teenager. Like, you're playing a young character. Be as big of a bitch as possible, but do it kind of monotone.
I don't know. I mean, in terms of Japanese animation, I think that it kind of came off a little sundara, and I would like to be.
Like I said, in Japanese, it probably would have came off more like that.
No, but I would have liked to see the Japanese just to see if it was meant to be sundari or if it was actually just general adolescent bitches.
No,
Well, it wasn't so much, to me it wasn't bitchiness as it was her, because she actually dropped out of school for a while, so to me it was like major depressive disorder kind of
yeah, but I just mean her general, like,
feeling.
you guys are stupid because you fell in love. That
Yeah,
kind
because
of
she's
thing. Or
quitting life.
Or it's like, here, this is, or like when she had the box of his stuff, like, this is stuff my brother had laying around. Take it if you want it. Here's his phone too. Fuck it. Shut up and go. Yeah.
I think with that, though, it was more from a state of depression than it was
Yeah,
from
I mean, it was
her personality,
keeping
herself safe.
Yeah, it's keeping her emotions to herself, keeping them locked in. And I think that probably would have carried better in the Japanese.
Maybe.
Like, in English, it just kind of sounded like she was a bitch.
True.
And you probably would have got that more standoffish, keeping things guarded tone in the Japanese. Because it just seems that's one of those things that carries better for young female characters in anime. With Japanese versus English. Yeah, I watch way too many movies like this.
It's okay, it happens.
no, I would have to say I would love to maybe do a voice for one of them. That would be fun.
Yeah, voices seemed fun. I want to try to do voices at some point.
Although it did pass the Beckman test.
Buckington?
Yeah.
Oh god, the
Yeah.
Beckman test.
The what
Two
test?
women were talking to each other, and it wasn't always about men.
It wasn't, true.
So that literally is the test.
But
You'd be surprised how many movies failed that.
there are other parts of the test, but yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Except that here's a problem with this.
Yeah.
There's the few times that they weren't talking about men, they were quoting the men.
Yes.
Yes.
So wouldn't that still fail the test?
I think
Because they weren't speaking their own words, they could only speak the words of the men if they weren't talking about men.
No, they were talking to each other, her and her friends, remember?
especially
They were just like goofing around a
yeah,
little.
the part of the test.
Oh,
is-
yes, when they're like the
Yeah.
three of them were together. Yeah.
Yeah,
when
before.
it's just the two of them, or when it was just what I just forgot her name.
But
Hinako with her other two girlfriends from school, they weren't just talking about boys the whole time. They weren't those typical teenage girls. And they were, like, they talked about school, they talked about life. And even when the two were consoling her after Minato died, they weren't just talking about him, they were trying to have a conversation about, what are we doing today? Where are we going? And like, but also trying to
How do
things
we
will
help
get
her?
better, but let's not focus on him.
So in other words, they didn't turn into T Titans Goes excited faces with big eyes and exclamation points
Yes.
talking about guys. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. But there are a surprising number of anime, or just even real movies.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right? Whenever
Yeah. Right. They would have put female characters together, and they were actually well-developed characters who could talk about something other than how hot the closest guy was.
Mm-hmm. You actually got a sense that they were friends, you know? How they would razz each other and stuff a little.
Although, I'm going to say that Wasabi is probably a useless character.
He is. His whole point is, I'm like fantasizing about her, and then being like, okay, well, my brother's sister thinks I'm hot, so I might as well jump on that.
Yeah, he's like, hey, my friend thought she was hot, so
Yeah.
I think she's hot.
And then he dies,
And then,
you know,
his sister
his
thinks I'm hot.
sister thinks I'm hot,
Yeah.
so instead of going with the main character girl
Yeah.
and like being so like infatuated with her, he's all like, you know what, I'm just gonna jump ship now just because she noticed me. His character development.
Hold on. Notice me, senpai.
I know, right?
Notice me.
It
That's
just,
the thing in anime.
yeah, trust me.
Okay. I'm sure I'll learn more.
If you do, I feel sorry for you, but welcome.
Yeah. Enjoy the weepiness.
Oh.
All I know is I'm sure I'm going to experience things. The one thing that I did look up when I heard about it was Uncle Iroh singing.
Oh,
Iroh, Uncle
yes.
Iroh.
Iroh, yes.
I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's so perfect. And in my experiences, I hope to see more stuff like that.
It is. Like, the whole Avatar The Last Airbender show is... It's full of moments like that, but that specific moment was amazing. And I think it makes it...
Human.
It makes it human, but it also... Part of what makes that episode hit harder is if you see the original airing of the episode, although I think they keep it in now, is that's a remembrance to Mako, because that was one of the last episodes he recorded before he died. Too.
Right, I
So
know.
you actually got him to sing that song, and they were able to record it, and then he died shortly after. And it just carries so well of, they wrote the characters beautifully to have that emotion. And he is a voice actor, as an actor in general, he brought that emotion so well too.
All I have to say is it's been fun. I'm sorry if I dug into you a little bit. I apologize. I don't want you to feel bad or hurt or anything like that, and or feel like I'm calling you something I know you're not. Okay, I know you're a very loving guy. I know you're out there trying to help people. It was just like this is things that I've been experiencing there. I apologize.
What are you talking about? I'm a racist mother. No, I'm kidding. No, no, I understand. Thank you.
Okay. But we have to get going
Why?
because it's 6 o'clock and I still have to cook dinner.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
And it's
One of the best reasons to be gay, or be female gay, is
I
I
believe
have
the
a-
term is lesbian.
lesbian. I have a lovely lady who cooks for me. Yay!
That's really the best reason, though. You can get that from
And boobs. Well, clearly.
Nobody can argue with boobs.
You can get
Exactly.
both. You can get that from a straight relationship too. And
Not
boobs.
boobs.
If
Okay,
you're
now I-
desperate enough, you grow them.
now I got Rodney Atkins in my head.
Wait, Atkins?
Rodney Atkins. Song is called "Show Them to Me."
Oh, I
I
just
love
heard
that
Atkins.
song.
I didn't hear Ronnie. Okay, yeah.
Rodney Atkins, "Show Them to Me."
And
Show them to me.
Oh,
Okay.
Rodney,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly how it goes.
Rodney Carrington.
Is it? Oh, you're right, Carrington. It's my fault.
Rodney Carrington.
Carrington. Show them
I
to
love
me.
that song. Show them to me.
But you hate country.
But I love his stand-up. It just happens to have songs every so often.
I
It's,
hate country too.
And
It's
there
a
would be a lot
two-hour
more
stand-up.
peace on earth if you just showed your tatas to me.
and it's wonderful because in the middle of the song, he even has a point where he goes, "I don't care if they're big or small or even attached to a dude. Show them to me." And if you've ever
Watch the video. A
Yeah.
guy gets up. A
If
couple
you ever
guys.
watch the actual stand-up
big guy.
special for that, there's a big guy who just flashes over like, "I appreciate you too."
It's great. It's amazing.
That I think that stands on par with Ron White when he's talking about the 80-year-old biker. You know, I don't care if they're 80-year-old biker boobs. I want to see them. They're like, all right, you can roll those back up now. I'm done. They're like things that make you go, blah.
They call me tater salad. Sorry.
Join us
That's
next
my
week
son,
for...
Tater Tot.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Then you got his son, Tater Tot.
Next week, join us for Pure Country. No.
No. Oh, God.
You know what? I'm all for that.
Why?
Why are you going to torture me?
You're
And
so alike.
Sean, my friend.
No country.
No country.
For old men. Agreed.
That's a shitty movie. No.
That's the next week.
Okay.
Before that, Pure Country.
If I had to choose, I'd settle for Pure Country.
Okay, fine. No country.
Hey, I got a stack of anime here. We can do more anime.
Ooh,
We could do
wait
more
for this.
anime. Or
I got Pat LeBur. We can have existential crisis.
Jesus Christ.
what are some like good discussions
I have
like
lots
that?
of them are ocean
People are
movies.
very dichotomous. That really have nothing to do with anything. Like Brussels sprouts or no Brussels sprouts.
No Brussels sprouts. Ugh, God.
No, I want Brussels sprouts. How about fooey?
Oh, sugar
Wait,
in
you have to watch
spaghetti or no sugar in spaghetti?
Right?
What now?
Depends how much. Hear me out. Hold on. We
No,
went on vacation. We had pizza. I like a little sugar in the sauce. You know, it makes it a little less acidic and all that jazz. We had pizza. This wasn't pizza. This was a fucking pie. It was sweet.
Yeah.
That's not what you do. That's not how you put sugar in sauce. No.
A tablespoon or two at most to cut the acid? Yes. A cup? No.
Fuck you, people.
That's what bell peppers are for.
No.
You put bell peppers in there. That sweetens it up without putting sugar.
But if
But a
you don't
little
like
bit of
bell
sugar. A
pepper,
little bit. Hear me out. There was this guy who had a pizzeria by my house. He lives in Michigan now. I miss him. I really do. He used to have this sweet sauce. It wasn't sweet.
Wait, no, I know the topic.
What?
Mangoes and fish on a pizza or no?
no.
Yes!
No.
Depends on the fish.
Exactly.
Panko crusted cod meatball. That's what she made.
I homemade my meatballs
No.
too.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
She likes playing around with balls.
How did you spice the
Don't we all?
How did you spice the meatballs? What did you use?
I put curry powder in it.
They were they're like that. They're
What kind of curry powder?
just straight curry powder. That
Oh.
they big jar yellow curry that I have up there. She
You're
basically
you
made her
need more
sauce
than that.
out.
No. You need more than that if you're gonna spice like meatballs.
She did
No.
put more than just that. She put
Yeah, but that was just for the meatball itself. The pizza had curry sauce on it, so it was really mango curry sauce. That was
she's not a mango.
It tasted like curry.
very curry.
Anyway,
It wasn't
Anyway.
bad.
Yeah,
I think we should have like a day like with just stuff like that.
Sure.
Hawaiian pizza or no Hawaiian pizza? Does pineapple belong in a pizza or not?
Okay.
No. It's gonna hurt
No,
your
that
face.
no. I think we're done for today.
You should see her look. It's like I just beat her puppy. So cute.
Thank you for joining us, Katya and Christina, for this delightful
Thanks for having
introspection.
me.
I feel that I'm being insulted here. Like there's. I'm sorry. I took us on a rant. I deserve it. No, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
So,
I made it too serious.
bye-bye. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Remember, everybody, like, comment, subscribe, and fuck you. Bye.